Milwaukee, Wisconsin, site of Miller Park and home to the Brewers, a place where every game is a big event. Tonight, the Cardinals, led by three-time MVP Albert Pujols, try to finish a weekend visit to Wisconsin with a sweep of this three-game series. But the Brewers, led by young superstars such as the powerful Ryan Braun and slugger Prince Fielder, will try and upend Pujols and the Cardinals.
The roof is closed at Miller Park in Milwaukee, although it was a beautiful day today. This is ESPN Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell. The homestanding Brewers trying to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Cardinals. The Cardinals and the Brewers, both of the National League Central Division. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, along with the Bulldog, the great right-hander Oral Hershiser, and the Hall of Famer, great second baseman Joe Morgan. Welcome to Sunday Night Baseball. And we have some great players in this game tonight. The Cardinals have a core of players that are some of the best in the game, including their starting pitcher tonight, Chris Carpenter, their cleanup man, Matt Holliday, and, of course, one of the best players of all with the Cardinals, or anybody else for that matter, Albert Pujols. Joe, he had 47 homers last year and went on to win his third most valuable player award.
Well, we use the term, we say, hey, dog. Well, he's the baddest dog on the field every time he takes the field. And he's earned that distinction by putting up numbers that no one in the history of the game has ever touched before. He started his first 9 years of hitting 30 home runs. Only Mark McGwire had 4, and he's second. He's hit 30 or more home runs. He's driven in 100 or more runs 9 straight years. He's won 2 MVPs in a row. He's also been the guy that has struck out fewer times than bases on balls. He is truly the alpha dog of this sport.
All right, so he's a good one. And Randy Wolf, the veteran lefty, will try and shut him down for the Brewers. Meanwhile, on the hill for the Cardinals will be Chris Carpenter, one of the best right-handers in the game. And he'll have his own problems tonight, as Carpenter's got to go up against the Brewers' own dynamic duo, couple of sluggers, young sluggers, Ryan Braun and Prince Fielder. Oral.
Yeah, in the middle of this order, they are young and they are tough. And since 2007, since they were teammates, they have led the majors in home runs, 283, John. That's outstanding. Only second in RBIs to the Philly sluggers of Ryan Howard and Chase Utley. So you look at these two guys in the middle of the order, uniqueness because of right-hander and Braun at 26, a left-hander and Fielder at 25, 141 RBIs for Fielder last year. This 1-2 punch is really got to get going, though. They have no home runs each, and they've only got 2 RBIs each. They've got to help those Brewers.
All right, so Randy Wolf will be up against Albert Pujols. This ball game is about to begin. Wolf will be coming in from the bullpen. In fact, he's on his way in now. Pujols will be coming up in that first inning. The great slugger, 3-time MVP, and Sunday Night Baseball is about to begin.
coverage. And Ford, drive one.
Sixth and playing right field, number 1, Corey Hart.
Think outside the bun. And in part by Verizon, the network with the most 3G coverage. And Ford, drive one.
Better than 30,000 expected tonight here at Miller Park as the Brewers and Cardinals are about to have at it. The Brewers, who went into the postseason out of the National League Central the year before last, and then last year their pitching just fell apart, especially their starting pitching. The Cardinals, who won the division last year. Tony La Russa back for another year. His 32nd season, and he is third on the all-time list of winners as a manager in the history of the game. As the Brewers take the field, let's take a look at the Cardinals batting order presented by Taco Bell. Veteran Felipe Lopez acquired by the Cardinals in the offseason at second base. Ryan Ludwig in right, then Albert Pujols at first. Matt Holliday hits cleanup in left field. Yadier Molina, the catcher. David Freese, the rookie third baseman. Joe Mather, another young player in center field. Brendan Ryan, the shortstop, hits eighth, and the pitcher is Chris Carpenter.
Yadier Molina, who protects the protector of Matt Holliday. Yadier Molina now growing into his own at 27 years old. Can't believe he has 5 years in the big leagues already, but his responsibility to protect Matt Holliday, who protects Albert Pujols. The length and depth of the Cardinal lineup is getting longer and stronger as Molina's bat continues to come around.
And John Randy Wolf, last year he had 24 quality starts.
Let's take a look at the Brewers on the field defensively. Braun in left, Edmonds in center, an 8-time Gold Glover, and Corey Hart is in right field. Edmonds, who made the ball club in the spring after sitting out all of last year. Casey McGee at third base. Alcides Escobar, the young, exciting rookie with a great arm at short. Ricky Weeks back in the lineup after being injured most of last year. Prince Fielder, the big slugger at first base, and George Cotaras is the catcher, formerly with the Boston Red Sox. And the pitcher, Randy Wolf, ready to go against a Cardinal ball club that always seems to find itself just right at home here at Miller Park. They've won 9 of their last 10 games here, going back to last May, including the first 2 games of this series. First ball swinging Lopez into right field. There's Hart on the warning track, and it got over him. Well, I know it didn't get up in the wind because the roof is closed, but Corey Hart seemed to think that that was going to be no problem. He just trotted back on it and never got to it. A double for Lopez.
You see Corey Hart looking up there a little bit, trying to see why he lost that ball. A, the ball was slicing. B, it was hit a little harder than you would expect. Inside-out swing there to right field. And you see he just kind of takes a nonchalant path back there, and the ball seems to take off on him. It seems like he had a bead on it, Joe, but it just all of a sudden just lost it a little lazy on that ball.
Yeah, he just misjudged it. And they always say the ball hit directly at you is the toughest ball to judge when you're in the outfield. And that was hit directly at him and ended up going over his head.
So Corey Hart, who finished last year very poorly in the second half of the year, he just did very little hitting at all, and in fact then had an emergency appendectomy that put him out for about 5 weeks in August and into September. And then he had a very poor spring this year as Wolf misses with ball 1 to Ryan Ludwig.
It's tough for Corey. He hit 172 in the Cactus League, and there actually was kind of a minor platoon going on here in the first 5 games with Jim Edmonds. Jim Edmonds tonight in center field. So they are both in the lineup tonight, but when Jim's been in, Corey has usually been on the bench.
Just off the outside to Ludwig. Ludwig, who had a breakout year 2 years ago, drove in 108 runs. He's 31 years old. Last year he had some early injury problems and did not have the same kind of production, although when he's healthy, they still think he's going to hit a lot of home runs and drive in a lot of runs. And right now he's in that number 2 spot in front of Albert Pujols, which seems to be a special spot in the batting order. You hit in front of Pujols, you're supposed to see a little better pitches to hit on occasion.
Well, there have been a lot of great hitters hitting third, and if you were hitting second in front of them, Barry Bonds comes to mind. You always get a good pitch to hit. And so when you have hitters counts, they are truly hitters counts because the pitcher will give in to you rather than pitch to Albert Pujols or Barry Bonds or some of the great hitters in the game today. So hitting in the second spot, even though Ludwig has been a guy that's driven in 100 runs, hitting in the second spot, he also will be able to get good fastballs to hit, and he'll still drive in runs. Tony La Russa seems to like to have some power in the second spot, which is different than most managers.
Historically, as Ludwig fouls one away, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Managers wanted a left-handed hitter, so if there was a runner at first, the hole would be open up with the first baseman holding, and they could pull it through that right side, or a guy who had good ability to bunt, or a hit-and-run guy who made contact. But Tony said, hey, let's get some instant offense. If they're throwing this guy a few more fastballs because Albert's coming up, maybe he'll launch one right away. 2-2 the count.
It's
and 3-2.
Perfect example of what Tony La Russa told Ryan Ludwig when he moved him into the 2-hole here is that I want you to hit for yourself still. I don't want you to be the typical number 2 hitter. You're a power hitter. You're an RBI guy. I like the sock in the 2-hole, but with a man on second, less than 2 outs right here, he is not trying to move this guy over. He's just trying to hit.
3-2 the count. And he walks. Wow. Now, that's not supposed to happen, is it, Joe? I thought with Albert coming up, 3-2 count, you're supposed to get a pitch to hit.
Well, some pitchers will not give in when they have a hitter's count. And Randy Wolf obviously did not want to give in to Ludwig. But I'm still not a big believer in guy leading off with a double and the next guy doesn't try to get him over early in the ball game. I believe that that's part of the way you play the game, and that's the way it should be played. But, you know, Tony's a manager and he manages differently. But I think you will find that most managers would prefer for their guy to move that guy along so they can try to get on the board early, especially on the road.
Well, this guy's pretty good at moving guys along, moving them in. 47 home runs last year as he won his 3rd MVP award. And quickly ahead of the count, but he has not feasted on Randy Wolf. He's had only 1 extra base hit in 19 regular season plate appearances against Wolf, and this is just a high, lazy fly to right center. Hart is under it. Lopez tagging at second. Lopez is going to head to third, and he'll make it as the throw is cut off at shortstop by Escobar.
I know Albert Pujols got him over, but if Ryan Ludwig would have been able to get him to third base, now you would have a run home. That's why I believe that you have to do that in the first inning. Obviously, Ludwig didn't have that opportunity, but I think that's why you have your second place hitter as a guy that can use the bat and move guys along if necessary. But again, Tony seems to feel a little differently.
So maybe that's a residue of Tony La Russa's American League managerial days with the designated hitter and the slugging league and whatnot.
He's been over here long enough. But I mean, obviously Tony's a great manager, not a good one, but a great manager, and he gets the job done. There's always more than one way to get the job done in this game.
A cutter on the hands of Holliday, and that's a pop-up. Ricky Weeks, he's got it, and Matt Holliday's gone on 1 pitch. Now, I don't know that this was Randy Wolf's plan to get the first 2 guys on base and then just quickly dispatch both Pujols and Holliday, but that's exactly what he's done.
Well, he made a great pitch there to Holiday. I've always felt that Holiday likes the ball down and out over the plate, and he got the ball in on his hands. But watch the swing. See, the ball's inside, the target's inside, and you see he can't get to it. And that's exactly where you try to pitch Holiday. And a good job there by Wolf to keep him from getting the ball to the outfield.
That's a tough part of the order to go through for Randy Wolf. He did a good job using both sides of the plate. There's 2 former batting champs that he just got out and held that runner at third. Albert Pujols has won a crown. 3 MVPs also, and Matt Holliday's won a batting crown.
So now 2 down, and here is Yadier Molina. Now Yadier, in this first week of the season, has hit a grand slam. And then yesterday he hit a 3-run homer. Curveball, strike, and it's all on. That's a slow curveball, 66 miles an hour.
Well, they really believe that this is the year that Yadier is going to continue to blossom into a real clutch hitter. If you think back, he's had a lot of big hits for the Cardinals in his career. Helped them, get to the playoffs against the Mets.
Fastball fouled off to the right, and quickly Wolf is ahead of him, 0-2.
But he's the kind of guy that uses the entire field, and that's why he's become such a threat from the offensive side. His grand slam in Cincinnati on opening day was to right center field.
Yadier hit .305 with runners in scoring position last year, and that was sometimes, especially before they got Holiday, a place where the Cardinals struggled as a team a year ago.
Well, they think obviously Albert Pujols is their #1 clutch hitter, but they think that Yadier Molina is their second best clutch hitter. And we're not talking about second best hitter, but clutch hitter.
And that's inside.
Being able to get a lot of base hits with 2 outs because he puts the ball in play. He does not strike out. One of the toughest to strike out in Major League Baseball. So he's a guy that he's going to put it in play. And that's what you want in the clutch. You want somebody that's going to put the ball in play.
He had only 39 strikeouts last year, 481 official at-bats. Excellent. Lopez at third, Ludwig at first. And a pop-up. Prince fielder, Ricky Weeks. And Weeks will take it.
Great job by Wolf.
First and second, nobody out. Pujols, Holiday, Molina, all down, no runs. Chris Carpenter heads to the hill. Braun coming up third. The Cardinals' outstanding right-hander Chris Carpenter. Ken Maka, starting his second year as the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's take a look at his batting order presented by Taco Bell. Ricky Weeks, healthy again, leads off at second base. Jim Edmonds, a former Cardinal, in center field. Ryan Braun slugging left field. And then Prince Fielder, 46 home runs last year, first base. Casey McGee, third base. Corey Hart in right field. George Gutierrez, the catcher, hitting seventh. Alcides Escobar, the young shortstop, and Randy Wolf, the pitcher, batting ninth.
And Chris Fielder, there's his numbers, 299, 46, and 141. The 141 RBIs tied for the league lead. And he's so good now they no longer make the mistake and call him Cecil. He's earned his own way. A lot of times in the past, mistakes were made by me and others and called him his dad's name, but Prince has earned his own way now.
Cecil Fielder was a great home run slugger for the Tigers for many years in the American League. There's a ball outside, 1 ball, 1 strike to Ricky Weeks with Edmonds to follow, and then Ryan Braun.
John, as good as this offense is, I think that Ricky Weeks is still one of the keys. They need to have some guys in the front.
That ball is belted deep into left center field. Way back there, that ball is a home run! A leadoff home run by Ricky Weeks. And the Brewers go ahead 1-0, just like that, his second home run of the year.
And Ricky Weeks has shown a lot of potential since he's been in the big leagues. The injuries and early season slumps have kept him from living up to his high potential. But I think that he's the guy because he can do so many things at the top of the lineup. And we just saw one of those things, and that's provide some power, but he can provide speed and a lot of base. So let's take a look at this pitch. Looks like a fastball down the middle. A mistake by Carpenter. And Ricky Weeks puts the charge into it. That was more of a line drive, which is the way that he hits home runs more than the big flies.
And ball 1 to Jim Edmonds now. Ricky Weeks, 14th career leadoff home run. His first this year to lead off a game. And that is too low. And it is 2-0. Ricky Weeks, who last year got hurt and had to have surgery. He's only 27 years old. He was off to the best start that he had ever had. He had played only 37 games and already had 9 home runs. He was tied for the club lead with Prince Fielder, no less, at the point where he injured his left wrist.
Well, the more at-bats you get, the healthier you are, the more compact and calm you are.
Left center field. Matt Holliday. And there is one away with Ryan Braun coming up.
Chris Carpenter is on the mound, and Ricky Weeks did deposit that fastball, but this guy will attack the zone. He won't walk many people. Only 38 walks last year, second in the Cy Young voting. Adam Wainwright on his own club was right up there, but Tim Nimsick won it out in San Francisco. But you'll watch him pound the zone, and he is a workhorse. The first offseason, he's really been able to work on pitching instead of recovering from injuries. He's had shoulder and elbow problems over the last few years.
So the dangerous Ryan Braun takes ball 1. Braun, who hit 32 home runs last year, only 26 years old, and in his first 3 years, over 100 home runs already. He skies one to center. A lot of room for Mather out there. Comes trotting in a little bit now after first starting back. And Braun is promptly retired, and now here comes Prince Fielder. Let's take a look at the Cardinals. Defensively, Cardinals have Holliday, Mather, and Ludwig around the outfield from left to right. And around the infield, the rookie, David Freese at third, Brendan Ryan at short. Felipe Lopez in today for Schumacher at second. Albert Pujols has won a Gold Glove at first base. Yadier Molina has already won 2 Gold Gloves. Very young in his career. Here's Prince Fielder. He whacks one to right field, a liner, and caught by Ludwig. And just like that, the inning is over. But Ricky Weeks puts the Brewers ahead, leading off against Carpenter with a home run. On to the second inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. Joe Morgan, Oral Hershiser, your Sunday night telecasters. Our 21st season of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball officially beginning tonight. There's a strike to David Freese, a 27-year-old, where he'll be 27 in 2.5 weeks. He's from the St. Louis area. And now the count 1 ball and 1 strike as he faces the left-hander Randy Wolf. David Freese was acquired from the Padres in a deal that sent Jim Edmonds away from the Cardinals to San Diego before the 2008 season. Now he's the Cardinals' everyday third baseman, at least to start this year.
And John, it's interesting. Jim Edmonds was playing a lot of golf in Palm Springs, and I went down there to visit him. I played golf with him, spent some time with him, and you could tell then he was anxious to get back into the game. He didn't know that he was going to have the opportunity, but he still missed the game. Mark McGuire was down there. They spent time in, they both belong to one of those real expensive fancy country clubs. I go there as a guest, and spent some time with Mark down there on the range. And played with Jim.
Strike 3 call. Freeze. So a lot of pitches in the hands, and then a fastball on the outside to strike him out.
Freeze is frozen.
But, one of the things, I talked to McGuire today, and the first question I asked him, John, I said, are you having fun? And he said, it's great. I said, so what you're saying, it was worth all you had to go through to get back into the game? And he said, yes. And he said that the players have been great to him, meaning the St. Louis Cardinals players, and everything was great.
There's Joe Mather. And that is called strike.
And I asked him about philosophy of hitting, or, was he going to deal with them more philosophically to, get them prepared for at bat, or was it mechanical? And he obviously said he does. But the interesting thing to me is that he talked about something that I've talked about a lot of times on going back through the middle. He says he tries to teach his hitters to drive the ball back into the pitcher's chest and use the entire field. And what makes a good hitting instructor is someone who could deal with all the hitters on the team rather than just the sluggers. And it seems that Mark has been able to do that because all the hitters, a lot of the guys are, swearing by him. And from singles hitters to home run hitters, they're all talking about how he has helped them and how comfortable they feel dealing with him on a daily basis. And they say he really works hard.
Mather, the hitter right now, who is an extra outfielder and a guy who will play as a role player, and tonight filling in for Colby Rasmus, the young center fielder, about whom the Cardinals feel there's a lot to be excited about, but he didn't really have that great a first season. But he's had an excellent first week, and he and McGuire seem to be almost soulmates. Whenever McGuire talks hitting with Rasmus, it seemed like Rasmus says, wow, I know exactly what you're talking about. Rasmus, who last year hit some home runs, but almost never walked, and was all fouled up in many ways in this first week. Hitting .385 with a couple of homers and 8 walks already in 5 games.
The best hitting instructor I ever had was Big Ted Kluszewski. And I wasn't a home run hitter. Ted was a home run hitter, but he's also a good hitter. Ted Kluszewski could work with Johnny Bench on power, work with Pete Rose, myself on hitting.
And then strike 3, Mather goes down.
So that's the sign of a good hitting instructor. Like I said, he was the best that I ever had. And Mark McGuire, the guys are really buying into what he does. They have a lot of things going on here, and one of my favorite people always was Hal McRae, who was a hitting instructor here for a lot of years. And obviously the St. Louis Cardinals had good hitters while Hal was here. And
here now is Brendan Ryan. He takes a strike.
The thing with McGuire for me, when you're a star player and then you come in as the hitting coach, you have to use that star equity quickly, and you also need to make sure your first comments work with hitters. Because you can lose that in a hurry, because they don't really care after a while that you were a star. They care that you're helping them. And so you take that equity and you've got an open ear on the whole lineup, but you really better use it and use it wisely in the early part of it. Looks like he has, because he's got everybody on his side.
Well, the one thing that I said, the jury will be out until one of those guys goes into a slump. And the question then will be, can Mark help him get out of that slump? When everybody's hitting, everybody's happy. Everything's easy. We're all happy. But if Matt Holliday all of a sudden goes into a slump, or I don't think Albert will, but if Albert goes into a slump, can he help them get out of that slump? I think that's the test of a hitting instructor.
Albert's in a mini one, 2 for 15. A big opening day, but
Still early.
still early. Big enough sampling yet.
Albert had, as you say, the big opening day, a 4-hit game. But he's only had 2 hits since then. And that's back out of play.
You have to remember when you're Albert Pujols, you know, and I always equate things with Barry Bonds, because I think Barry Bonds has had the most impact on any offense of anybody that I've seen. Albert Pujols got off to a great start, 4 hits, they win the game. The next day, they're not going to pitch to him. They don't care if Matt Holliday's behind him or John Doe. It doesn't matter. They're not going to pitch to him. So now Albert has to pick his spots where he's going to get these at-bats, and I think that's what happened. You know, they weren't going to let him go out there and go 4 for 5 every day. So I think that's part of dealing with being Albert Pujols.
And then Ryan with 2 down and nobody on. A little flare into shallow right center, base hit. And that extends the inning so that Chris Carpenter will bat. Pujols himself had some comments about his new hitting instructor, McGuire. I'm going to take advantage of the things I couldn't do when I was a rookie because probably I was too shy. Now I'm going to take advantage and talk to him about hitting because McGuire was an active player when Albert first came along.
Remember, McGuire told us the story about how he may have helped get, you know, Albert Pujols his chances first year. They were thinking about sending him down, you know, and he said, he told La Russa, this kid can hit. There's no way you should send him to the minor leagues. And he ended up, you know, starting that year, and he's been doing things ever since. He was going to probably have to go to the minor leagues for, you know, a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
Somebody got hurt.
Yeah.
Was it Bobby Bonilla?
Bobby Bonilla was the one. He's the one that got hurt.
Hanging curveball hit by Carpenter right over to McGee, who throws him out. 1 hit, 1 left against Randy Wolf, 1-0. The Brewers are leading. Casey McGee will be coming up against Carpenter. Inning, 1-0, Milwaukee leading for a big crowd here at Miller Park in Milwaukee. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Oral Hershiser. Sunday Night Baseball, 21st season on Sundays at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and 5 Pacific. As Chris Carpenter misses with ball 1 to Casey McGee. McGee, 27-year-old from Santa Cruz, California. And the Cubs basically got him for nothing. They claimed him off waivers. The Cubs had him. And they put him on waivers, and the Brewers claimed him, and they got him. And then last year, he was a revelation. He hit .301. The more he played, the more they decided, well, he's got to keep playing. At .301 with 16 home runs in only 355 at bats. Now he is the regular third baseman. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Little cutter, and down he goes, 1 away.
That's one of his Carpenter's specialties. Cut fastball away.
You're right, Joe. I mean, he can keep the ball down. He can pound the strike zone. But what he does is that kind of scissor effect. You make the ball go right, and you can make the ball go left. When you get it just off the edge of the plate, and you first make it look like a strike. Very tough to hit.
And that was as seen on K-Zone, brought to you by MLB 10, the show.
He actually led the National League in earned run average last year. A lot of people aren't aware of that because Tim Lincecum won the Cy Young Award. He picked 192 innings and had a 2.24 earned run average, which was the lowest in the league of the starting pitchers.
And that's still a sore subject if you're a Cardinal fan.
Yeah.
I voted for Adam Wainwright with the 19 wins, Mr. Carpenter's teammate.
That ball is hammered high and deep to left field by Corey Hart. A booming home run. 2-0 Milwaukee.
Well, that was a breaking ball that hung in the middle of the plate.
Well, the 2 mistakes for home runs. The one by Weeks was a high fastball. This is another high pitch around the waist. 2 good level swings put on it. This one hit a lot farther than Weeks. Look at that high cutter, kind of backed up on him. Could have been a slider at 86 miles an hour. Sometimes you come through that pitch as a pitcher and try and break it too much. It comes out the top half of your hand. The spin makes it go backwards into the hitter's bat.
George Gutierrez, the catcher, takes a called strike. Last year, Chris Carpenter allowed 7 home runs for the entire season. And he now has allowed 2 in the first 2 innings of this game. And he allowed 2 in his first start in 6 innings. So that's 4 home runs allowed, and so far 7 in the 3rd innings by Carpenter here in 2010. And the count 1-2 to Gutierrez. Alcides Escobar is on deck. The leadoff home run hit by Ricky Weeks. That was kind of unusual. First time in almost 4 years that Carpenter's allowed a leadoff home run in the game. As Gutierrez is down on strikes. 2 down. And a reminder that tomorrow night, Monday Night Baseball, presented by Sears Lawn and Garden, is on ESPN at 4 Eastern. So Monday Night Baseball is Monday afternoon baseball, 4 Eastern, 3 Central. The Twins open their brand new, beautiful field, Target Field, against the Boston Red Sox. Then Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Captain Morgan on ESPN 2 at 8 Eastern. It's Houston and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Strike 1 to Alcides Escobar. There's Bernie Brewer. He's been a busy man. Every time the Brewers hit a home run here, he takes a ride down the long slide into the Kalahari splash zone. Brewers fans and Brewers hitters like to give Bernie a workout. Curveball popped up, coming hard. Ludwig. Escobar retired, but another run for the Brewers. Another solo home run. Top of the order coming up. Lopez, Ludwig, and Albert Pujols. 2-0 Milwaukee. Harley and Arthur Davidson here in Milwaukee made the first ever Harley Davidson motorcycle available. Now, more than 100 years later, Harley Davidson still calls Milwaukee home. A couple of years ago, the Harley Davidson Museum was opened to pay tribute to its history right here in Milwaukee.
John, you look like a Harley kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That look, yeah, you look like a Harley.
I parked mine right up there. Wasn't that easy to get it up there either, let me tell you. Top of the order for the Cardinals in the third against Randy Wolf. And Felipe Lopez back to the screen. Strike one. Felipe Lopez, who is a man without a position. In this game, he's the second baseman. Yesterday, he was the shortstop. And La Russa says he's going to play second, short, third, and the outfield. And he's going to play a lot.
I was going to say, he's a much better player than people give him credit for. And I think La Russa will make sure he gets his bat in the lineup because he can play.
He started at short here yesterday, and that was the first time that he started at shortstop in 2 years. In fact, the last time he started at short, he was with the Cardinals.
He has to stay healthy. That's his key.
2-1 the count to Lopez. Lopez is a switch hitter. He runs pretty well. 2-1 the count. Ooh, he changed up on it. Straight change on a fastball count.
It's interesting because the pitch before that was a slow curveball at 64 miles an hour, and the fans here oohed and awed, kind of like it was an eephus. It's one of the few pitches at 64 when you drop 26 miles an hour off your fastball that the fans really know that it was an off-speed pitch.
On the hands of the fastball, McGee. And Lopez is retired. He had a double, a ball that was misjudged by the right fielder Hart his first time. One out. And here's an update. Steve Berthiaume of the Sports Center right now. Thanks, Steve. By the way, there's another ball game going on. Here is Ludwig, and that's inside. 2 balls and no strikes as he faces Randy Wolf with 1 out and nobody on. The Brewers leading the Cardinals 2-0. We've got the man that Cardinal fans felt should have won the Cy Young Award in the National League last year in our game tonight, Chris Carpenter. And the man who did win the award is going in San Francisco right now. Tim Lincecum and the Giants are up against the Atlanta Braves. They had about a 4-hour rain delay in San Francisco before they got that one started. So it was not on the schedule to be played right now. But circumstances caused it to be delayed by several hours.
Well, you're saying you're intruding on our window.
I'm not saying that. Not my business. I don't make the contracts. The Lincecum won the Cy Young Award. And then Carpenter was number 2. Wainwright was number 3. And I guess, I don't know why Carpenter didn't win. A lot of people thought that he would. Ludwig into deep center field. Edmonds back at the warning track at the wall. He squares up and takes it. Well, you couldn't hit one further and have it stay in this yard. That was back near the 400-foot marker in center.
John, I don't think there's any doubt that any one of 3 guys could have won the award last year. Lincecum did win it. Wainwright could have won. And as you said, Carpenter could have won. So it wasn't easy. And I think in most cases, over the course of time, there's always more than one person that can win, whether it's the MVP award or the Cy Young award.
Now Albert Pujols. And that's ball 1. Pujols did win the MVP award last year. He had 47 homers. Number 1 in the National League. And he was also number 3 in the league in runs batted in. He finished 1 home run ahead of Prince Fielder. We got the top 2 home run hitters in the league head-to-head. Fielder tied with Ryan Howard for the RBI championship, and then Pujols was number 3. There's Prince Fielder. 2 of the top slugging first basemen in the game.
But the 2 guys that were ahead of him in RBIs do not have the plate discipline that this man does. Prince Fielder lets it go on every pitch and swings as hard as he can. I think Joe will maybe even go over his uppercut later. Albert He has great discipline.
It's 3-0 pitch there, and he hits that one up in the rafters. I thought it might go up there and hit one of those up on the rooftop. That was a majestic foul. 3-1.
The pitch recognition that this guy has, and people are always trying to pitch around him. He only got the protection last year at the end of the year when Matt Holliday was signed here. Ryan Ludwig tried to do that job. Ricky and Keel over some time. When he gets his one strike to hit, he usually doesn't miss it.
He had a little off balance there in a 3-1 count, so it's full of 3-2.
Well, one pitch was in, one pitch was away. That keeps you off balance.
Remember that Albert's only had 2 hits since last Monday. Last season at 263 with a 2-strike count. There's his manager, Tony La Russa. 3-2. That ball is hit a mile and hooking foul.
That's an interesting stat, John, but with 2 strikes, you know, what they hit. The question is, was it 3 balls and 2 strikes? Because 3 and 2 is pretty much an even count, whereas 2 strikes in other cases, the hitter is at a disadvantage because they have chances of making him go out of the zone.
Curveball. There's that slow one. Popped up foul and out of play off to the right. So the battle continues. You remember, Albert only 1 extra base hit in 19 regular season plate appearances against Wolf. There are very few pitchers who's been that tough on Albert.
And I think it's really tells me that Wolf has his number because he's left-handed and Albert goes the other way so well.
Fastball, and Kenny just scorches one foul, and coming after an off-speed pitch, and he's ahead of that fastball.
52 pitches thrown by Randy Wolf, and 13 now for foul balls. So you see, there isn't really one pitch in his repertoire that you have great intrigue or respect for, but what you respect is the whole repertoire. The relationship between pitch to pitch is what really gets you off balance with Randy Wolf.
This will be the 9th pitch in this sequence from Wolf to Albert. Oh man, he hit it hard, but McGee came up with it cleanly, throws him out. The big Albert is 0 for 2 against Randy Wolf. Wolf coming up, then Weeks and Edmonds. 2-0 Milwaukee. Hershiser and Joe Morgan with you from Miller Park in Milwaukee. And the hometown team has a 2-0 lead as we start the last half of the 3rd inning. And they've hit 2 solo home runs against Chris Carpenter, including a leadoff home run by Weeks in the 1st inning, and then Hart went deep in the 2nd inning, his first home run of the year. So here is Randy Wolf. I remember him being a pretty good hitter as pitchers go. Were you a good hitter, Oral?
I tried to be.
But were you?
Well,
were you?
Maybe I hit 357 one year. I can't remember.
But you can't remember?
Well, you know, it sounds kind of. I mean, Joe doesn't do this. It sounds arrogant when you talk about yourself. So, Joe, you talk about me.
So, Joe, was Oral a pretty good hitter?
Well, let's talk about his pitching. And
No, wait a minute. We're on hitting.
All right,
Up to bat.
No,
I heard
you were a pitcher.
I thought Joe was a pretty good hitter.
I heard that he hit 357.
There you go.
That's a ball off the glove of Freeze and Randy Wolf. Did I mention he's a pretty good hitter as a pitcher?
I think he was 162 last year, wasn't it?
Not like you're 357.
Well, he's got the whole year to catch up.
Hey, we've got an update from the Baseball Tonight studios. Hitting catchers in the game, taking Tim Lincecum deep to the big part of the yard too on a horrible day where they had a 4-hour rain delay before they ever got started. As Ricky Weeks takes a called strike.
You can't let a brave highlight go by without talking about Jason Hayward, though. That young rookie out there, he broke out yesterday in 3 hits. Again, home run, single, couple RBIs.
Ricky Weeks takes a ball too low, and it's a ball and a strike. Weeks, who led off this game with a home run. Hayward went into San Francisco, and in the Giants home opener on Friday, he was 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. And then last night, they couldn't get him out. 3 for 3 with a homer, a couple of RBIs, a walk. So it didn't seem to have any residual effect on him. He was able to slough off the bad game and forget all about it, and he was outstanding the next night. He hit a 3-run homer in his very first Major League at bat in the Braves opener this past Monday.
I happened to be at that game. It was absolutely amazing. The fans were like, welcome to the Atlanta Braves, young man.
2-1 the count to Ricky Weeks. Jim Edmonds on deck. Runner at first, nobody out. Carpenter. That's right past Carpenter into center field. Wolf will stop at second. Mather gets it back in. Ricky Weeks is 2 for 2. 2 men on, and some big hitters are coming up now. Edmonds, then Ryan Braun, and Prince Fielder behind him.
Well, Adam Wainwright won a Gold Glove, and Carpenter won't win one because he falls off to the side, and that ball was hit directly over the mound, and he could not, he wasn't in a position to make the play.
So now Jim Edmonds flied out to left center his first time. Edmonds last played in the 2008 season, mostly with the Cubs. That's a line drive for 1 out. And he did not get it. Wow. Fielder, or rather Weeks at first base, got back to the bag, and Pujols did not have time to tag the bag, tried to tag him, and according to Jeff Nelson, did not quite get him in time.
Well, he was so far off the bag. Look, Pujols starts way back here. So he couldn't get back to the bag in time. So he did try to tag him. But they did have Weeks going the wrong way, as you could see, but he could not get back. Had Pujols been able to be at the bag, it would have been an easy force out, but you see he couldn't get there in time. And close play, but looks like Weeks gets back, hits him on the helmet.
Now Ryan Braun. And the slider misses for ball 1. Braun flied out to center his first time. And this is one of the young Brewers sluggers. Ryan Braun last year hit .320, 32 homers, and 114 runs batted in. Unless you think he's just a one-dimensional guy, he also stole 20 bases.
And when you watch him, John, he has a presence there in the batter's box. He's just fun to watch.
That's a fastball on the outside for a strike. He's also even well-rounded beyond baseball. He's now a restaurateur. He opened a restaurant here that just opened this past Monday in Milwaukee. And I hear it's pretty good, Joe. Not that you took me there.
Well, we had a shot to go out there, eat there last night, and didn't go because I wanted to work the kinks out. Just like a young player coming to the big leagues, they have to learn the whole game. I think just a young guy going into the restaurant business, you got to learn the whole game. Next year, I think we should go, the three of us.
Yeah, well, apparently you ordinarily I'd
I don't know
say
if he has a veteran chef or not.
That's
a
good
point.
New
chef too.
But we had a lot of people from Sunday Night Baseball did go.
Oh, really?
Said,
what'd they say?
Stupendous.
Well, there you go.
At the Ryan Braun's Waterfront Grill in Milwaukee's historic 3rd Ward.
Well, my second game, I didn't get invited in that group.
I didn't get invited either. Although I was hoping you'd invite me, but you were...
I called you.
You said, no.
I called both of you.
Let's give him some time. 3-1. And 3-2.
That's pitch there is what separates good pitchers from great pitchers. When they're behind an account, 3-1 pitch with runners in scoring position, make a quality pitch. Now watch this. This is a quality pitch. Well, it's even better than that. It's a great pitch.
It's awesome.
But that's what separates the good pitchers from the others.
This is hit softly. Nice pickup at third, and a bad throw. Freeze has given away a run and not gotten it out. 3-0 Milwaukee.
Carpenter comes back and makes another great pitch. This one off the play. Ryan Braun stretches out of the strike zone, trying to make contact on a 3-2 place. Chris Carpenter has been bending and not breaking. Tony La Russa is watching his ace out there struggle a little bit with command, but really trying to get out of it. Braun chases the ball. Nice play by charging the ball right there one-handed. Just gets the throw and kind of hooks it towards center field. Really probably a one-out play, Joe, that he might have been able to just square his feet up and drive that ball to second base to get the force out. But I don't think you're going to get two with Braun on a chopper.
Well, the first thought is you always make sure of the first out.
Prince Fielder, the hitter. The Brewers' outstanding cleanup man. 46 homers and 141 RBIs last year. Change speeds on him. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Let's take a look at this. He charges. Now, to be honest with you, you've got to make sure that you get yourself set to throw to second base. As you were saying, Oral, you have to make sure, one, that's the key on any ground ball in the infield when you're trying to get a potential double play. Make sure the first one.
And a curveball drops in there. Strike 2 to Fielder, who lined out to right his first time. Fielder has had a slow first week of the season. Has not yet hit a home run. Only has 2 RBIs, 5 hits, 19 at bats. A mighty cut for strike 3 on a curveball.
What happens with hitters sometimes, we saw him throwing 3 curveballs to get him out. The first 2 curveballs were better pitches to hit than this one. Look at this, down and in. That's a perfect pitch. Down and off the plate. He took the second curveball for a strike that was over the plate where he probably should have attacked. And now he has to swing at a better one with 2 strikes. And that's what happens when they get 2 strikes on you. A great pitcher like Carpenter, he's going to snap that one off so that you'll chase it.
Casey McGee. Ooh, little slide piece. 0-1.
Yeah, Prince Fielder got caught right there with exactly what Joe said. That curveball for a strike, and now the next time he sees it, you don't want to break a hand, though. You want to hit the ball. It's out now. It's all gone.
And it's 0-2 to Casey McGee. Well, I like how he did kind of vent there for a moment. Then he got it very. I think he had an idea of doing something different with that bat, but then he very calmly placed it.
Well, you love the passion.
He's obviously seething right now. And the curve is low.
I think what happened, John, he realized it wasn't the bat's fault. But here's the pitch. I mean, that's just a great, great pitch there. Down and out of the strike zone. Well, it got the bottom of the strike zone.
Well, we've heard about guys punching walls or doing different things that break their hand. I'm glad Prince didn't do that. He's only signed through the end of this year.
The curve is low. 3-2. Well, he is a very, rather 2-2. I beg your pardon. 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. He is a very passionate individual about this game.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, you love it. You'd rather have a raging river than a swamp. At least you can direct the raging river, all that power. And this is kind of passion and intensity that really takes hold of this team.
Off the glove of Freeze. And that's going to bring in another run. And this is a bad inning for young David Freese at third base. A couple of errors, and it is 4-0 Milwaukee.
Oh, this was a tough hop. He actually ends up getting it on the in-between hop. He has got to either charge that ball, cut the angle off, or watch, he could have gone here to get it, but he doesn't. He backs up and lets the ball play him, as we say, and that's, see, he should have even come to get it, and he doesn't, and that's just a tough hop. It wasn't an easy play. That was a much more difficult play than the throw he had to second base.
And I think it hit a little clod or something.
Yeah,
it came up a little bit more than what he expected, but that's the point of being more aggressive, right? Is what you're saying.
Well, as a pitcher, I think you're being a little easy on him and saying that's a tough play, because he had enough time for 2 flinches before he actually even decided to wave at it with his glove. So, you know, his feet kind of froze there, a little indecision.
He's already made 1 error this inning.
No, now he's made 2. Yeah.
Well, he already had 1.
Corey Hart, deep center, and a diving catch by Joe Mather. And that saved at least a couple of more runs from scoring. So 2 runs, both unearned, and it could have been worse. Joe Mather with a spectacular catch, fully extended in midair. Matt Holliday coming up. Three innings coming up with Matt Holliday against Randy Wolf. As positive, I guess, if you're the Cardinals, is that you've got a lot of time yet to mount a comeback. Randy Wolf to the plate, off the inside with ball 1. Holliday, then Yadier Molina and David Freese. The Cardinals had a great opportunity immediately in the first inning against Wolf. First and second, nobody out. But they did not score and have not really had an opportunity since. And McGee throws out Matt Holliday, who is now 0 for 2. He popped out to second his first time.
Well, Randy Wolf has done a great job of speeding him up and slowing him down. Speeding him up, slowing him down, using his curveball and his fastball. You see the looping little curveball at about 64 miles an hour. Back with the fastball, Yadier Molina. Then back to the curveball, slow him down. Then we'll go back to speed him up on the inner half of the plate. Beat him to the spot. Little change up away. And then another fastball. Back and forth. And now with a 4-0 lead, he can feast upon St. Louis aggressiveness if that's the way they want to get back in the game.
That ball is hammered by Yadier Molina. A liner off the wall. Yadier is going to try for 2. Down by 4 runs. The relay. He's got the double. He was going to beat it anyway, but the throw was not held by Ricky Weeks. And the relay from Escobar.
Let's take a look at Yadier Molina. He decided this was a double. He's trotting first. He thinks it may be a home run. Now he speeds it up. And he goes into second base with a double.
He had it anyway, but Ricky Weeks, in his haste to make the tag, never caught the ball. Here's David Freese. Now this man wants a hit. Back.
He actually wants to hit a 4-run homer.
He needs the redeemer.
Yeah.
But and I think with part of what you were showing, Oral, against Randy Wolf, you can't be overly aggressive.
If you try to go out and attack him, you're still going to have to grind out at bats against him and pick the right pitch and speed to hit.
Fastball right by him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Freese was called out on strikes his first time. David Freese will turn 27 at the end of this month. Slow curveball. That's a base hit to left field. All right, so now is he looking for that slow curveball? How come he was right on that pitch?
Well, it was a hanger for one thing. It was up, and it didn't really fool him because it was a high breaking ball. If that ball's down, he probably doesn't hit it. But watch where this ball ends up. I mean, it's a high breaking ball. Stays right there in the middle of the plate, belt high, and he hit it. That pitch basically says hit me right there.
Yeah, right about there at the arc, at the top of that curveball. The hitter is like, remember at 2 in the morning when the lights go from on to flashing red lights when you're coming home? Well, that flashing red light saying, hit me, hit me, hit me right there.
Well, first of all, I'm never out till 2 in the morning.
I knew I set myself up
that.
right there.
So let's clarify that.
I was talking to John.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, my son told me about that. 0-1 the count to Joe Mather. He struck out his first time. Middle infield, double play depth with runners at first and third. Now the Cardinals have an opportunity here to score. They got plenty of time. They don't have to get 4 runs all at once, but I think it'd be a good idea for them to get at least that runner home from third. Yes. Mather fouls it back to the screen.
If you go all the way back to the very first inning when Randy Wolf shut them down after setting the table in the first inning, he goes through Matt Holliday and Albert Pujols to get out of the inning. First 8 pitches, he has first and second and no out, and then after that, he induces in the next 5 pitches 3 fly ball outs to get a 0 on the board.
By the way, after this inning, after the Cardinals finish their at-bats, we will 60 seconds later visit with Tony La Russa from the Cardinal dugout. So stay tuned for that. 4-0. The Brewers leading La Russa's Cardinals here in the 4th. Cardinals have won the first 2 games of the series already. Off the outside, tantalizing with a fastball. 2-2 the count. The Cardinals play their home opener tomorrow. After tonight's game, they fly home. And they'll take on the Houston Astros with Adam Wainwright on the hill. The forecast tomorrow in St. Louis, 81 degrees and sunny. Perfect opening day weather, it sounds like. Back to the screen on that fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, ESPN Films' critically acclaimed 30 for 30 series returns with the story of then high school superstar Allen Iverson and a fateful Valentine's night brawl in 1993. Oscar nominee Steve James takes a personal look at this still disputed incident and examines its impact on Iverson and the shared community. No crossover. The trial of Allen Iverson, 30 for 30, presented by Levi's, ESPN, Tuesday at 8 Eastern. The foul by Joe Mather.
Well, it's a good job by Mather to stay alive here, but, you know, we talked about this with Wolf. His pitch count continues to rise because he strikes out a lot of guys, but they foul off a lot of pitches, so that's what happens with him.
He's up to 65 pitches already.
And he's in control. I mean, they haven't scored in this the 4th inning. He's still...
Well, winning pitching right here is going for an out, not trying to save that run at third base. You're up 4-0. and you just want to trade an out for a run, get in the dugout with a 4-1 lead. If they happen to let you get out of this with a 0, that's fine. But you don't want to pitch to save this run and let the Cardinals get a crooked number on the board and get back in this game.
Brendan Ryan on deck. Runners at first and third, 1 out. And the hard slider low and inside. It's a full count now. 3-2.
So the pitch selection for me right here is a pitch I can get him out with in the strike zone, not a pitch that I'm looking to get him to chase, because I don't want bases loaded and 1 out. Ken Maka even directing the defense, trying to get them to look for 1 out.
Okay, so what pitch is it? What are you going to throw him here?
Straight change or a low and away fastball.
3-2.
Fastball in.
And he missed with it.
And the reason I don't go fastball in there, I know it's an out pitch for him, but it is the pitch that most of the time, if you throw a borderline strike, you don't get the call from the umpire. You get more borderline strikes away, so you can go fastball away or changeup away. You don't get many borderline strikes like that pitch on the inner half of the plate.
All right, let me ask you a question here. You said you don't pitch to strike him out, you don't pitch whatever. Why not just throw him a fastball and try to get the ground ball?
That's what I said. Fastball low and away or
yeah, but you can't. I don't mean low and away, because what if you miss?
Low and down.
Yeah, because the fastball low and away.
But I'm not talking corners. I'm talking halves of the plate.
All right.
Halves of the plate. So you can get that called strike.
Here is Brendan Ryan with the bases loaded. Now, Ryan has had a tough time of it the first week with the bat. He had a single in the second inning tonight, only his second hit of the year. He's 2 for 16. Base hit could mean a couple of runs. And the curve in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes.
Well, if you're a hitter in this situation, you see he's struggling a little bit with that curveball, and it has to be ahead of you to get you to chase the curveball. Then I'm sitting dead red here. I can still hit the changeup, but I'm looking fastball. Fastball is what I'm looking for, and try to do some damage.
I think you're right, Joe. I think, well, if I'm the hitter and I'm trying to think, if I have a smart hitter like yourself up there, I'm probably not going to go fastball in, the pitch that I've been getting him out with, because you have a pitch in hand that you could just sit on that pitch, and that fastball in could cause the most amount of damage.
Fastball too low, and it's 2-0. Brendan Ryan struggling in the first week of this season with the bat up till now, but he hit .292 last year for the Cardinals in 129 games. There is Molina at third, Freese at second, Mather over at first.
This is a situation as a hitter, you can't help him out. This has to be a good strike, not just a strike.
And it's not a strike of any kind. 3-0.
I'm a little different on the depth of the infield for the Brewers. With Chris Carpenter on deck, I am still at this point in the game trading an out for a run. I'm not trying to get a double play. I am trying to get an out. So I would play them back a little deeper and not worry about the double play.
3-0 the count. And he walks him, a 4-pitch walk. And that is how the Cardinals get their first run of the night. Consecutive walks by Randy Wolf, 1 to load the bases and 1 to force in the run. It's 4-1 Milwaukee.
See, I think there's a philosophical problem there with those balls and those walks. I think that you go from a guy who is commanding the strike zone, has them completely off balance, and now all of a sudden you're going for the corners and trying to save runs when you have a 4-0 lead. And now he's backed himself into a situation with 1 out, bases loaded, that he has to face the top of the order if Carpenter doesn't hit into a double play.
You think is there a sign that La Russa can give him, just don't hit it at all?
Well, I think you better be alive on a squeeze, because La Russa wants to make sure he stays out of the double play.
And this is not hit very hard, and they're just going to get the 1. So Carpenter gets the run home by hitting it so poorly. And it is 4-2 with Mathert over to third, Ryan to second after Freese came in to score.
Well, you're right. If that's a routine ground ball to second base, it's a double play. But he did hit it poorly.
Just got it past the pitcher. There were a lot of ways that could have been a double play to end the inning, with nobody else scoring. But now it ends up being an extremely productive out. A run scores, and 2 other runners are in scoring position. Felipe Lopez could tie this game with a base hit. Mather at third, Ryan at second, each of whom reach base on a walk. Lopez has doubled and grounded out to third. The first ball swinging in that curve You know, earlier the first couple innings, I don't remember the first 3 innings probably. I don't remember anybody even swinging at that curveball. We've had a base hit and a curveball, and here's Lopez swinging on a first pitch curveball.
Yeah, I think Albert Pujols, when he had his one at bat, was the only one that was swinging at it and was hitting it foul a long way. But most of them have been just taking it for a strike or taking it for a ball.
1 strike to count. And on that fastball, he's very late, fouling it off the fists into the crowd, and it's 0-2.
Joe, would you notice the sequence, though, from Wolf, that he is kind of going hard, soft, and then as a hitter, kind of go, okay, that was that pitch, now here comes the hard.
Well, it depends on, obviously, it depends on the situation. If you're there with the bases loaded, as we're talking about with Brendan Ryan, once he misses with the first pitch, then I'm putting it on a tee. It has to be a good strike to hit. And I'm forgetting about the hard, soft. But if I'm hitting with a runner at second and 2 outs, then I look for the soft.
It's the soft, and he got a piece of it, a slow curveball.
But with the bases loaded, I don't think I would be looking curveball first pitch. And that's where they call, guys can steal a strike. But what happens if he misses with it? Now you've got him in a bind because he's got to come to you. So
you've been keyholing.
Yeah.
You've been like looking at one spot hard, and here I'm going to hurt it.
Yeah. Now, if he throws a changeup in that spot, you can still hit it.
Curveball. Center field. A late break by Edmonds, but he gets there. Took him a while to figure out where it was headed. But 2 runs for the Cardinals right back into it. 4-2 Milwaukee. We'll visit with Tony La Russa from the dugout in 60 seconds. Manager Tony La Russa, brought to you by Edward Jones. Welcome, Tony, and many thanks.
Tony,
this is called FaceTime.
All right, I'm going to ask you an obvious question. Carpenter only gave up 7 home runs last year. He's already given up 4 so far this season. What's the difference?
Well, just he's not getting away with anything he made a mistake on. The pitch to Weeks was down the middle. The pitch to Hart was up cutter. Same thing happened in Cincinnati. But you can see he's capable of making pitches. He's just made some mistakes and gotten away with nothing.
All right, Freese has had a tough inning. What did you say to him when he came in?
I said keep playing. He ends up getting a base hit, scoring a run. He's a very tough kid. Errors are part of the game.
All right, Tony.
Tony, many thanks. Tony La Russa, manager of the Cardinals, the 3rd highest win total of any manager in the history of the game. Before a big crowd tonight at Miller Park in Milwaukee. Sunday Night Baseball. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Orel Hershiser. And the Brewers are coming up now against Carpenter with a 4-2 lead. The 7th place hitter, George Gutierrez, takes a curve in the dirt for ball 1. 2 unearned runs for the Brewers in the 3rd, and those 2 runs now are the difference in the game. 2 errors by David Freese. And a sinking fastball down and away. So do you like that, Joe, La Russa's comment to David Freese?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what you have to do. You keep playing. I mean, that's the philosophy. Look, to be a baseball player, you have to have a short memory. I mean, you really do. Whether you got a base hit last time up, now you come up with in a different situation. They're counting on you again. You have to forget what you did last time. You make an error out there, you hope they hit the ball to you the next time. That's where you have to think out there. Although I must admit, it does get a little difficult. If you make a couple of errors out there, you're kind of hoping, well, there's some more guys on this infield. Hit them to them.
Well, the 2 errors came on a ball hit by Ryan Braun
Well, this one, he actually just made a bad throw. I mean, and that's going to happen over the course of the season. This one he was undecided on what to do. He didn't know whether to charge it, try to knock it down, or back up and get it.
And Gutierrez on a 3-2 pitch has a single to right field, leading off here in the last of the fourth for the Brewers.
The one thing you have to think about when you're on the infield, and I would tell Freese this if I was his teammate, with 2 outs and that ball hit to me, I have to make sure it stays on the infield. That's what you have to do. You have to smother the ball, whether you're playing shortstop, second base, or wherever. You have to keep the ball on the infield with 2 outs.
The great thing about Tony La Russa's instruction of keep playing, it instills trust in a player that he thinks that I'm just good enough. That was just a rough spot right there. There was no instruction or scolding.
Alcides Escobar, check swing, caught, and that's a double play. Quick reactions by Carpenter to catch that one. The inadvertent comebacker, and then easily doubling up Gutierrez.
I'll tell you what, high fastball, check swing, and just comes back at you. And if this one's coming at you, you catch it twice. You see Chris Carpenter flinch a little bit. Because at first, when you're only 60 feet 6 inches away from that hitter and the ball's coming back at you, you're like, whoa, that's hard. Oh, it's not. Okay? And then the reaction to remember the situation and double the runner off at first.
And a called strike to Randy Wolf, who singled and started a 2-run rally in the 3rd inning. 4-2 Milwaukee. Ooh, the curveball that had him flinching, and the count is 0-2. The Brewers, filled with high hopes, they reworked this ball club a little bit in the offseason. And part of that was Randy Wolf coming in. But quite a recovery here, a turnaround inning for Carpenter and the Cardinals. They get to in the first half of the inning, and then a quick disposal of the Brewers by Carpenter. We're going to visit with Ken Maka, Brewers manager, for the Brewers dugout when we come back in 60 seconds. Hoping to visit with Ken Maka, Brewers manager. And apparently we're going to have to postpone that visit. The Cardinals will be coming up against the left-hander Randy Wolf with Ryan Ludwig, Albert Pujols, and Matt Holliday. And although we have postponed the visit with Maka, now we're going with it. FaceTime with Ken Maka, brought to you by Edward Jones. And Ken, welcome to Sunday Night Baseball.
Ken, Oral Hershiser, tell us about Ricky Weeks. You only had him for 147 at bats. He starts off tonight with a home run.
Well, last year he was on fire. 9 home runs, 23 RBIs in the middle of May. We lost him. What a catalyst he was for our offense last year, and he's picked up right where he left off last year.
And Randy Wolf on the mound, a great acquisition, 1-0 already, and pretty solid here tonight.
So far, so good. Got a little bit wild low in the strike zone there. If you're going to get wild with the bases loaded, it's better to be low than up right belt high. You know that.
Hey, how long will you go with him tonight? Do you have a pitch count in mind for him?
Well, he'll be over 100, yeah. So hopefully we'll get a couple more innings out of him.
Ken, many thanks.
All right.
Ken Maka, manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. We mentioned that because Wolf, through the first 4 innings, has thrown 76 pitches in this game. Number 77 is a swinging strike by Ryan Ludwig. Ludwig has walked and flied out deep to center. Ludwig, another important Cardinal in the batting order, struggling in the first week of the season now with 3 hits in 19 at-bats. That curveball to Jim Edmonds, and there is one away.
What I'm noticing with Wolf is Wolf's curveball and the hitters. When he's throwing his curveball, most of them are slowing their bat down, trying to match the speed of his curveball, which is not the way to hit a curveball. But that's what I'm seeing here. It's like he went out then, Ludwig did, tried to wait, and then slowed his bat down.
Well, what's the best way to hit a curveball then?
Wait and attack it. You have to still use your bat speed.
That's the way Albert would do it.
Yeah.
As he takes ball 1. And Oral, you mentioned Albert clobbered one of those curveballs foul. It was a spectacular foul. 1 ball and no strikes. That's a base hit. They were swung way around, playing him to pull. Escobar, the shortstop, well over into the hole toward third, and Albert hit it through that wide open spot where the shortstop might ordinarily have been.
But if you're not mad because the ball is down, he goes after this pitch that's probably out of the strike zone. Watch where the pitch is. Well, it's right at the bottom of the strike zone. He can't do a lot of damage to you, and he hits it up the middle for a base hit. You say, hey, I kept Albert Pujols in the park. That looked like it was lower than, you see, that's a low pitch. He's not going to do a lot with it.
You know, Joe, I'm not a big proponent of the shift, the overshift, because I think good hitters like yourself and Albert Bell, you can adjust to that. And I think Albert just looked right up the middle. And he said, I can hit it up the middle. There's an easy hit.
Albert Pujols with his first hit of the game.
Bell would have got a hit on it.
Albert.
Did I say Albert Bell?
Yeah, Bell. Your old teammate.
Oh, that's my old teammate.
Yeah. I tell you, I'm in agreement with you about the overshifts on certain hitters.
Matt Holliday is up there, and they have just almost no shift at all for Holliday in a double play situation. But you and Oral actually agree on this.
Well, on some hitters, I'm just saying I don't think every hitter like Albert Pujols that you should automatically just shift the guys over, because he can hit the ball. You know, he uses the entire field at times.
Well, the shift for me takes pitches away from my repertoire if I'm the pitcher, because all of a sudden the fastball away is not an out for Randy Wolf. The fastball away is a base hit up the middle on a routine ground ball. Now he's got to throw stuff that's soft and inside so that the ball is hit into the defense, and you eliminate a side of the plate and a speed to Albert Pujols, and you make him a better hitter.
That's a strike on the inside to Matt Holliday, who has popped up to second, grounded out to third. He had a little conversation with Mark Carlson, the plate umpire, about that call. 2-2. Four to 2, the Brewers lead the Cardinals in the 5th inning. Pujols at first and back to the bag. He and Prince Fielder. You think they talk about hitting home runs and exchange little tips with each other when they're over there standing side by side? Pujols, who led the league in home runs last year, and Fielder, who was right behind him, number 2 in the league.
I would think they would talk about swings maybe before the game more than at first base.
I did not like it when my teammates were talking to the opposing hitters that had reached base against me. I was going to war, and those were the opponents at that time. You want to talk to them before the game, after the game, go to dinner, but not during the game in my face when you've just got a hit off me.
So, if your first baseman was doing that,
well, I'd let him know about it.
Would you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why they one of the reasons why they called him the Bulldog.
Yeah, don't take away from my game face, because I'm out here with teammates. I'm not out on that little circle. I'm not on that little circle all by myself. I've got teammates, and I don't want you chewing the fat with somebody over there at first base or second base. I just gave up a hit or give up some runs.
So one time you saw Steve Garvey, let's say, was he still around, or was he in San
Only
Diego?
about a month. He was in San Diego, but it might have been Greg Brock, Sid Bream, some other guys over there, other household names.
Yadier Molina, who has popped up to second, and then he had a double off the left field wall to start that 2-run 4th inning rally. 4-2, the Brewers lead the Cardinals. So you'd say to Greg Brock or Sid or one of those guys, says, kid, come here.
Yeah.
I have a few things to say to you.
They were my same age, but I might have called him kid.
One ball. But you never, I don't remember seeing you do that with the camera around.
No, I wouldn't do it on the camera.
And that is caught by Ricky Weeks to end the inning. That's 5 in the books for Wolf. He and the Brewers leading 4-2 in the Top of the order coming up, Weeks, Edmonds, and then Ryan Braun when we come back. Leadoff man for the Brewers against Chris Carpenter. Weeks, as the first batter faced by Carpenter this evening, hit a home run. His first leadoff home run of this season. He also has hit a single and scored a run. He's done a great job leading off against Carpenter tonight as he looks at a strike at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jim Edmonds on deck, and then Ryan Braun due up third. Fielder due up fourth. There's Edmonds out on deck. And there's Braun. And the curveball in the dirt way outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. 63, or rather 63 pitches thrown by Carpenter up to the moment. Carpenter, who last year never lost a game to any team, the Brewers or anybody else, in the Central Division. He was 11-0 against the Central Division a year ago.
Which is a fabulous statistic because, remember, you know, you were winning at the division and it went down the wire. It wasn't over early. I mean, the Cubs they were still chasing. The Brewers were still chasing late in the season.
And he walks Ricky Weeks to start the 5th inning. And let's go back, Joe, and use the ESPN Axis to dissect the first error by David Freese, which allowed what right now is the lead run to score.
We're not picking on David Freeze here, but I want to show you one of my new toys. What this shows is that he had plenty of time, you see where the runner is, to make this play, and he wasn't able to do it. And that's just one of my new toys to show you that. It wasn't, again, to pick on David Freeze. We've already done enough of that.
Jim Edmonds, left center field deep, and right back on the edge of the track to catch that one is Holiday, tagging Weeks, and he takes that extra base.
Well, that's what Ken Maka was talking about. He was a catalyst for this offense, you know, before he got hurt last year. And that's just a smart play. Someone has to yell. They have to yell at Matt Holliday and let him know that he's tagging up. So Holliday tries to make that play a little differently, get his momentum coming forward a little bit more, and make a throw. Good job by Weeks. He sees that Holliday just kind of casually going back. See, if they let him know he's coming in, he got rid of it pretty quickly, though. Just a little bit offline. So maybe they did let him know. because he got rid of that ball pretty quickly.
Here now is Ryan Braun, the big power coming up for the Brewers. Braun, then Fielder. And the curveball misses. 1 ball to no strikes.
And you see Weeks, he decides I think he tagged up because he saw Holiday going backwards, sideways. But he did not realize that Holiday did square up. But he used his speed to get into second base.
So that's really, it's just like a stolen base.
Yeah, well, I think so, but they're not going to give him credit for one anyway.
No.
So.
But to me, he stole that base. Into the gap in right center field, and he hit well. It's gone! Goodbye! An opposite field home run by Ryan Braun. Wow! 6-2 Brewers.
Chris Carpenter has not gotten away with any of the mistakes. Another up fastball. Weeks got him with an up fastball in the first inning. He got beat on a high cutter later by Corey Hart. And now another high fastball right there.
Well, it was just a matter of time, but that's the first home run of the year for Ryan Braun. And you see there, Carpenter's 5th home run of the year allowed after allowing 7 all of last year. Fielder is 0 for 2 and is quickly behind in the count here. No balls, 2 strikes.
I know Carpenter made a mistake, but I choose to give Braun the credit there because he went the other way, drove that ball, to right center field. I mean, he could have popped it up. He could have tried to pull it and popped it up.
Fielder got it. He got a hit.
He doesn't want to be hit. He wants to hit. He wants to hit. So I don't know if it did hit him, but he doesn't want to hit.
Bounced, and I thought it hit him after the bounce.
But he didn't want to go to first base. See, I knew it hit him, but he didn't want it. He said no.
It's not an option.
Yeah, I know, but he doesn't want to hit. He doesn't want to go to first base. He wants to hit, and I admire that in a slugger. I mean, what do I want to go to first base for? I'm not going to steal second. And that ball clearly bounces up and hits him, but he doesn't want to go to first base that way.
And now here is Casey McGee, who has struck out and reached on an error by David Freese. Freese's 2nd error of that 3rd inning. And a foul out of play. 6-2 Brewers here in the 5th.
Yeah, I've said that John, I've been a big admirer of Braun's for a long time. See, now that is a bad pitch, but he could have tried to pull it. He didn't try to pull it. He went the other way with it. And he's strong enough to drive the ball out that way, and that's what you have to realize as a hitter. If you're strong enough to go that way, go the other way. You don't have to pull everything. So, but I guarantee if he'd tried to pull that ball, he might have popped it up. So, good job of hitting there by Braun. I know Carpenter would like to have the pitch back, but every pitch that he makes a mistake on, that the pitchers make a mistake on, do not go out of the ballpark because hitters make mistakes trying to pull them.
Along the right field line, and that is in there. Ludwig having to chase it. To third is Fielder, and he'll be held there on a double by Casey McGee.
Things are not going well for Chris Carpenter.
Now, even when he makes a good pitch, gets a hitter out in front, gives up a blooper, it just lands in the right spot. You watch the break ball here right on the corner. Great pitcher's pitch. Casey McGee thinks he's even fouled it off foul. He's going to stay in the batter's box. Then he realizes the ball's actually staying fair. You watch that ball come down the line. It's got enough height that it really stays straight right there. If he hits that ball better, it probably hooks foul.
And that look from K-Zone brought to you by MLB 10, the show. 6-2 the score, and the Cardinals are going to get something going in their bullpen, it appears. Here very shortly, Kyle McClellan is up out there. Runners at second and third, 1 out. And in the dirt to Corey Hart. Hart has a long home run in this game. That was back in the 2nd inning. He also lined one to center field that was turned into a great catch by Joe Mather, the center fielder. A diving catch that saved a couple of runs back in the 3rd. Off the outside. This is kind of a nightmare for Chris Carpenter, and he's not used to it. And The Cardinals are not used to seeing this happen.
And LaRusso's not used to having to get someone up as quickly in these types of situations with Carpenter and Wainwright out there.
It's off the outside. The man who actually got up to start throwing was not McCullen, but rather the left-hander, Trevor Miller, number 43. 2 runs are in on the Braun home run. Runners at second and third with only 1 out. And that's a strike. 3-1 to Hart. The left-handed hitting, Gutierrez is on deck.
In some ways, Chris Carpenter is pitching around Hart right here to set up the double play. The infield's back, medium depth because of Prince Fielder at third, a slow runner. Still a ground ball in the infield. They don't think Prince will go.
Whoa. He tried to curve him and hung it way high. And the bases are loaded on that walk. Major League Baseball and People Magazine are looking for individuals who make a difference in their community. 30 everyday All-Stars will be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. To nominate, go to peopleallstars.com. And Dave Duncan is out to chat with Cardinal All-Star Chris Carpenter, but he having one of his worst nights. Now, against the Brewers last year, he was 2-0 with a 1.17 earned run average. He had a shutout against him. And in the one game in which he had no decision, he pitched 8 shutout innings and got no decision. So they did not do this to him ever last year.
You know, with some pitchers coming out of spring training, that first outing, you kind of empty the tank, you're ready, but you don't have the wear and tear of 100 big league pitches on your arm. And you can get a little flat tire in your second game, maybe even your third game, where you get the dead arm if you don't go through that dead arm period in spring training. Maybe Carpenter's dealing with a little bit of that because a lot of his pitches have been elevated and he's not really getting through them tonight.
Fielder at third, McGee at second, Hart at first. The middle infield double play depth. And the curve is in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now we're used to seeing him start guys with strikes and put the ball right where he wants it to go. He's ahead 0-1, 0-2 all the time.
I think that tells you, John, that there's only one machine. But he's not a machine. I mean, that is the problem with pitchers and players. I mean, they're not machines. You know, things do go wrong. There's the machine right there.
That's the ESPN promo for Sports Center. Yeah.
Talks to copiers.
And did he swing? No. Larry Vanover, the third base umpire on the appeal, rules in favor of Gutierrez. So with the bases loaded, there's nowhere to put him, and the count is 3 balls and 1 strike. Gutierrez, who has been called out on strikes tonight, also hit a single his last time. Diving, Lopez, they get the out. And a hard slide there by Corey Hart, although there was no chance for a double play for Brendan Ryan anyway. And a run scores to make it 7-2.
A very nice play there at second base by Felipe Lopez. I mean, he couldn't get out of his glove quick enough to try to get the double play, but just the fact that he made the play is great. And to get him out. Ball smashed up the middle. Diving stop. Just very nice play there by Felipe Lopez.
So now Alcides Escobar with his slide out to shallow right and lined it back to the pitcher into a double play. He's 0 for 2. 23 years old. He has a great arm, and they wondered if he would hit, but last year he hit well in both the minor leagues and in a short trial in the big leagues.
Well, they know the defense is there. What they're trying to work on in the defense with Willie Randolph is the consistency. They know the flash is there and all the tools, and then the bat is a work in progress, but he has shown that he can hit. Look at those minor league stats.
298 in AAA last year, 393 in the Winter Leagues out of Venezuela. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and there are some people who are so high on his defensive abilities that they're already bringing up the guys like Dave Concepcion, your old teammate, Joe, with the Big Red Machine, and of course Omar Vizquel.
Pretty good guys, Gold Glove winners multiple times.
Louis Aparicio was sort of the godfather of two shortstops coming out of Venezuela. Pop fly Brendan Ryan. And that, at long last, ends the inning. 8 men come to bat. 3 of them score. On to the 6th inning. 7-2 Milwaukee. Brewers, 69-year-old Milt Mason sat atop the scoreboard at the old county stadium for 40 days until a crowd of over 40,000 attended the game. At 72, the newly adopted mascot who would slide down from his perch into a beer stein following each Brewers home run and win. In October of 2000, the owners of Lakefront Brewery paid $18,000 for Bernie Brewer's chalet, beer barrel and mug, the slide and binoculars, the whole deal, the full Monty. They're all on display at the brewery and as a backdrop for weddings. So there's the whole Bernie Brewer story for you. This is David Freese taking a strike from Randy Wolf.
John, later we're going to show you Albert Pujols' swing, and we're going to show you Prince Fielder's. We're going to show you the difference, and there is a big difference, but it just shows that there's more than one way to get the job done as a hitter in the big leagues.
1-1 the count to Freese, who has singled and struck out. A half swing, an inadvertent ground ball to Alcides Escobar, and throws him out. 1 away. Let's check in to the Baseball Tonight studios with Steve Berthiaume. Wow. A little bad luck, too. The throw was offline, but looked like it hit the runner coming in and ricocheted away, allowing that second run to score. Kenshin Kawakami, I believe, was the starter for the Braves in that game against the Cy Young winner for the last 2 years in the National League, Tim Lincecum. 4-hour rain delay in getting started. Whitecaps on San Francisco Bay. Meanwhile, we're here in Milwaukee in not even yet mid-April, and it was, what, 65, 66 degrees today. It was spectacular out.
Balmy.
And I was shocked when the roof was closed when we got here. That is Mather to left field, and Ryan Braun takes it. So Mather was 0 for 2 with a walk. And now Brendan Ryan coming up. This might be the final inning for Wolf, but it's on 88 pitches through through the first 5 innings. But he's suddenly getting it done very quickly here in the 6th, so maybe he'll go on for another inning if he can continue to have such efficiency here in the 6th.
Well, when you're a pitcher that throws a lot of off-speed pitches, it's less taxing on your arm.
Corey Hart. He makes the catch, and that's a 7-pitch inning. Randy Wolf would be due to lead off in the last of the 6th, then the top of the order. 7-2 Milwaukee. Milwaukee, and they just had the sausage race. The Milwaukee Brewers are projected to sell 910,000 sausages at Miller Park this year. Miller Park is the only stadium in Major League Baseball where sausages outsell hot dogs. The Brewers sell more sausages than 22 teams sell hot dogs. So I want a sausage. I want a brat. Where are they?
We'll get them delivered.
I don't want those anymore.
No?
No, I don't.
We'll get Joe some cabbage, some raw cabbage.
Edamame.
You and I can have a brat.
Exactly. We'll get more than one now that he's not having his.
Secret stadium sauce. Trevor Miller in to pitch, replacing Chris Carpenter with Jason LaRue in to catch a double switch here. So Yadier Molina will be rested for the rest of the night.
The Cardinals have their opening day tomorrow in St. Louis. And they have to fly out after the game tonight, so they're probably giving Yadier a little rest.
3:15 first pitch scheduled for St. Louis. Beautiful day forecast tomorrow, 81 degrees near the shores of the mighty Mississippi, and near the almost in the shadow of the Gateway Arch. Albert Pujols and the Cardinals, and I'm sure they'll be greeted by a sea of red, as is the norm for a home game at Busch Stadium. And Miller off the outside to Randy Wolf. And as usual, when the Cardinals travel in this part of the country especially, there are a lot of Cardinal fans who travel with them. They were all over our hotel the last couple of days. And Wolf pops it up. David Freese in foul ground, 1 away.
And John, we talked about showing Albert Pujols' swing and comparing it to Prince Fielder's. Let's get a start here. Look at that's his high eye level. He stays right there. Look at how balanced he is. And when I talk to him, he says right eye dominant. So he wants to make sure that right eye stays there, so that he gets the best vision he possibly can. But here's the thing. Look at this orange line, or it's a perfect, almost level swing, and it goes right through the hitting zone. What the purpose of that is, when you stay that level, it means that you can hit the ball anywhere along that line that's level and hit the ball hard.
Ball one to Weeks, who has homered, singled, and walked.
So that's almost a level, perfectly level swing, quick swing, as Albert talks about. But his real thing is he wants to keep his head still as much as possible and as level as possible so that his right eye takes over as much as possible. And we're going to see something almost the opposite from Prince Fielder, but Fielder hits one less home run than Albert did last year, and he also drove in more runs, which is a matter of opportunity there. But we're going to see the difference in the two approaches.
Just off the corner, 3-0 to Weeks.
But the one thing you always get with Albert Pujols is the balance, and he tries to stay as still as possible with his upper body.
It's tough to, as a pitcher, say, well, this is the pitch that always gets him out.
Right.
I mean, Albert, you think that bat so level through the strike zone is part of it? I mean, he hits the ball hard more often than anybody.
He definitely hits it hard.
And that's a walk to Ricky Weeks. And it's the fourth straight time he's been on base.
All right, let's take a look at Prince Fielder's swing. And we all know Fielder swings as hard as he can almost every time. Now, watch where his eye level starts, his head. And watch, that's Pujols. Now, this is the uppercut swing. Look at the lowering of the back shoulder. Look at the head. And you'll see why he has more of a loop in his swing than Albert Pujols does. But guess what? It works for him. It takes a little more athletic ability, I think, to be Prince Fielder as far as hand-eye coordination. And we know Albert has great hand-eye coordination, but Fielder's swing path means that he's got to have good hand-eye coordination because he only has he has less margin for error in that swing. He can't just hit it anywhere in that swing as we showed you Albert could.
Is that why one hits well over 300 and the other one hits under 300?
Well, what's going to happen is with Prince is that he's going to hit the ball in the air more pop-ups than Albert because of the angle of his swing and the angle of attack.
Now, would you advise Prince to start to try and level his swing out?
I wouldn't advise him to do anything. I mean, the guy is doing a great job. Like I said, there's more than one way to hit. Everybody can't hit like Albert Pujols. And truthfully, everybody can't hit like Prince Fielder does. Those two guys are pretty unique, unto themselves. And you would love to bring a kid up and try to teach him the fundamentals that Albert Pujols has. But it'd be very difficult for anyone to duplicate it because it takes a lot of things. It takes hand-eye coordination, strength, strong hands, and a lot of discipline. A lot of those things a lot of players do not have, and you can't teach those things to a lot of players, especially young kids or young players.
Edmonds with a count of 2-2, runner at first, one out here in the sixth inning. Well, Prince Fielder had a monster year last year.
Right.
If you're comparing him to anybody but Albert Pujols in the league, he had the best year of anybody. He played every game. He played all but 4 innings of the season for the Brewers last year, so very durable. Led the league in runs batted in. Second only to Pujols in home runs, and even then by just 1.
I wouldn't try to change anything.
And he hit .299. That strike 3 call to Jim Edmonds. And Miller gets him, and now Ryan Braun coming up with Fielder coming out on deck.
The interesting thing, John, is that Albert Pujols' contract's going to be up. Fielder's is going to be up, and Ryan Howard, 3 of the greatest sluggers in the game today. Their contracts may be up, and at the same time after next year. Of course, Albert Pujols has 1 more year with the Cards. Fielder they've talked about trying to do a contract with extension with him, and of course Ryan Howard. Three dominant players coming on the market maybe at the same time.
And Adrian Gonzalez in the
I forgot about him. Adrian Gonzalez as well.
All 4 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
The Yankees, the team that all of them would of course like to get involved in the bidding to get the highest possible salary. Yankees already have a great first baseman who's under contract for a long time to come.
Right.
Mark Teixeira. Fielder on deck. Ryan Braun, who slugged a long home run his last time. Brendan Ryan over to Lopez at second with a force out on Weeks, and just like that, the inning is over. Fielder stranded on deck. We move to the 7th inning. Pujols due up 4th. Pack. Randy Wolf making his second start as a Brewer, and he's already got his own rooting section here at Miller Park. Jason LaRue leads off against him, and he pulls one foul. 33,294, the official paid attendance at Miller Park for this game. Beautiful ballpark. I like this park, Joe.
I do too. All the new ballparks are nice. They're all.
I have a feeling though that Oro thinks maybe the fences should be a little deeper. I haven't really talked to him about it. It's kind of a touchy subject though with Oro. These parks where the ball seems to fly.
Yeah, I think this park defenses are probably deep enough. I think what you lose in the new ballparks is the foul territory. And so you see the stands creep in there down their right field line, the same down the left field line, a lot less foul outs.
So Oro prefers the fans to be like, several acres away from the field.
Well, that would be good for the pitcher, but I'm not sure it would be good for ticket sales.
Yeah. But you feel basically, if I have this right, I've studied your comments on the topic of foul territory. If there's a foul ball in the air, it should be impossible for that ball to go into the stands. That might have gone foul, and it came back fair. And McGee throws out Jason LaRue.
Well, we've had some runners on third base running for home, and we've got some tread marks down there that the ball might have hit and kicked back from foul territory to fair territory. Let's take a look. Yeah, it looks like it's on the other side of the line, and here it comes back over, and as long as it crosses over the bag in the air, it's a fair ball.
Crosses over the bag or even hits the bag.
Or hits the bag, yes.
Casey McGee did a nice job on that one as it tried to cross him up a little bit. So Randy Wolf is trying to cross up hitters even when they hit the ball. That ball still sort of is trying to cross people up. 0-1 the count to Felipe Lopez, the leadoff man, who is 1 for 3. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Cardinals, 2 of their regulars are not in the lineup tonight. The regular center fielder, Colby Rasmus. The regular second baseman, Skip Schumacher. Lopez filling in for Schumacher. And a bad hop. Escobar knocks it down, picks it back up. and then throws it away and gives away an extra base. So Lopez will be allowed to go to second base. Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Watch the season premiere of E60 presented by Ford. Featured this week, an E60 exclusive that examines how a small community responds to a coach's murder. Also, a look at superstar Kobe Bryant and the relationship he has with his hometown of Philadelphia. Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. In the Cardinal bullpen, Todd Coffey, a right-hander, getting ready. In the Brewer, whose bullpen did I say? The Brewer bullpen.
That's okay. I had Albert Bell in the game.
Well, I kind of wish he was in the game. I used to like to watch him hit. 0-1 the count to Ryan Ludwig.
John, I want to take a quick moment here and wish my good friend and former Players Association head, Marvin Miller, a happy birthday. It's Wednesday, but I won't be working Wednesday. So his birthday is April 14th. So happy birthday, Marvin. He's be 94 years old.
He and my daughter Emily have the same birthday.
Well, happy birthday to Emily, too.
Prince Fielder over to make the catch. In foul round, Ryan Ludwig is 0 for 3. Plus a walk. 2 down, and here comes Albert Pujols. Albert is flied out, grounded out, and singled. Marvin Miller, who was the man who revolutionized the game from a labor standpoint, helping the players form a union that, for the first time in Major League history, was really unified and extremely effective.
He definitely changed the game for the better. Made this a much better game for all of us.
There are some owners who would disagree with you.
Yeah, but I tell you what, if they look at their pocketbooks and things like that, I think they'd realize that Marvin was good for the game.
As the commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig, is so fond of talking about, the game has never been healthier and in better shape than it is right now. Albert Pujols. And that's ball 1, down and in.
Well, in one way, you let the stars migrate around to where they want to choose their employment instead of being garnered by 1 or 2 or 3 organizations. You spread the talent, you spread the championships, and that creates a lot of interest.
Well, there was a time when they said that free agency would kill the game, and obviously it hasn't.
Albert down the right field line, hit well. Slicing toward the corner. That ball is a home run. Albert Pujols somehow kept that one fair, and a 2-run homer for Pujols, and it is 7-4 Milwaukee.
Well, it's very difficult for a right-handed hitter to keep that ball fair right down the line unless you get good extension, and you did not, because otherwise the slice you put on it will usually take it away from the foul pole and go foul. But Albert Pujols, like Hank Aaron before him, Hank could keep that ball fair down the left field line or the right field line.
And here comes Ken Maka. And Maka may well be feeling right now he left Randy Wolf in for a couple of pitches too long. 2 unearned runs there in that home run because of the error by Escobar. Nice ovation for Randy Wolf, who leaves with a lead. heading to the plate. 7-4 the score now. The Brewers on top.
Well, let's take a look at Albert Pujols and what he does so well, and that's that ball. You said ball's away from him. And how do you keep that fair? Well, you got to hit the ball out in front. See where he hits that ball? And keeps the ball fair. If you hit it late, you're going to put the side spin on it, and it's just going to curl foul. But he was able to keep it fair long enough, and that's 345. That's pretty long way down that right field line. Usually they're 330, and that ball would have cleared easily.
And they look from K-Zone, brought to you by MLB 10, the show. Todd Coffey, the new Milwaukee pitcher. Matt Holliday 0 for 3 in the game. Albert Pujols had only one extra base hit in his career against Randy Wolf through the first 3 at-bats of this game tonight. And although he had 6 hits in 19 at-bats plus some walks, but now his second extra base hit, the first time he's ever gone deep against Randy Wolf. Wolf gave up 4 runs, only 2 earned in 6 2/3 innings. Let's see how much foul territory there is in this one. Just enough.
Nice play.
Prince Fielder having to make sure he did not injure himself going after that one, and he took a stab at it. Fielder is coming up when we come back. Seven hits, 1 error for the Brewers. 4 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Cardinals as we go to the last of the 7th. Chris Carpenter, 7 runs allowed, 5 earned, including 3 home runs. Remarkably, he only gave up 7 home runs all of last year. Ryan Braun hit one of those home runs, a 2-run opposite field blast. Albert Pujols just hit one down the right field line to knock Randy Wolf out of the game. The Milwaukee starters 7-4 as we head to the last of the 7th inning. Monday Night Baseball tomorrow night, presented by Sears Lawn and Garden, is on ESPN. Actually, it's tomorrow afternoon, 4 Eastern, 3 Central. The Twins and the Red Sox. It's the home opener in the brand new Target Field, the beautiful new home of the Twins. And on Wednesday, don't miss Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Captain Morgan on ESPN 2 at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. It'll be the Astros and the Cardinals with Brett Myers for Houston, Brad Penny for the Cardinals. By the way, tomorrow at Target Field, John Lester for the Red Sox, Carl Pavano will go for the hometown team, the Minnesota Twins. Here is Prince Fielder against Trevor Miller. And there's ball one. It could be Miller's only in for this one more hitter. Blake Hawksworth, a right-hander, is warming up in the Cardinal bullpen.
Did you see that sign, John? It says, sign Prince Fielder and they will come.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's ball 2. Fielder eligible to become a free agent after next year. There's Hawksworth, the right-hander we told you about, getting ready with the right-handed hitting Casey McGee on deck.
John, I'm wondering, what is Albert Pujols worth? That's what the Cardinals are going to have to decide.
It's beyond my pay grade to even attempt to figure that out.
But I mean, if you think about it in this day and age, I mean, what is he worth? Because I guess Mauer reportedly has signed a $184 million deal. Obviously, he's a little younger than Pujols, but that's
worth
interesting.
the highest paid player in the game.
Yeah, that's interesting. He is
$120 million right there for 7 years.
And that's a base hit. Fielder's first hit of the night. Matt Holliday able to pick it up and hold him to a single. Prince Fielder is now 1 for 3, also hit by a pitch back in the 5th inning. But I like that the sign, though. That's the Brewers fans' mentality. Yeah. Well, we don't care what it costs. Just sign them up. They've drawn $3 million plus 2 years in a row, and may well do that again this year as La Russa comes out. He's going to make a double switch here. But who are they coming out to see? $3 million plus a year in this really relatively small market by Major League standards. Well, they're coming out to see Prince Fielder, Ryan Braun, and these young, exciting Brewers sluggers.
I want to comment on that small market when we get back.
Hawksworth is coming in to pitch for the Cardinals, and Alan Craig has also gone into the game as part of the double switch as Miller retires. We'll be right back. Brewers lead the Cardinals with Fielder, the runner at first, and nobody out. Casey McGee coming up against the new Cardinal pitcher, Blake Hawksworth. He is the third Cardinal pitcher of the game. Also into the game is Alan Craig to play right field, replacing Ryan Ludwig. So Craig will slot into the 5th position in the batting order, be due up second in the 8th inning, and Hawksworth is moved into the number 2 spot where Ryan Ludwig had been. Here is Corey Hart, who's clobbered a long home run back in the 2nd. was robbed of an extra base hit by Joe Mather in the 3rd inning, walked in the 5th inning. And I'm sure the Brewer manager, Ken Maka, and Brewers fans are thrilled to see Corey Hart swinging the bat with such authority tonight and against Chris Carpenter, no less, because he'd been slumping for a long time, including all spring.
He had felt the last couple games in spring that he started to swing the bat better, felt comfortable, but still did not get the start on opening day. Jim Edmonds got the start.
1 ball to no strikes, the count. And that's a fastball in there for a called strike.
John, I want to comment on that small market thing you were talking about. Is Minnesota a small market? Because they just signed Mauer to $184 million.
Well, I was talking about Milwaukee.
No, but I'm talking. We're going to get to Milwaukee. But we always said that Milwaukee was a small. That Minnesota was a small market.
Oh, I never said that.
Well, they said it when Torrey Hunter was. They said they couldn't afford Torrey Hunter and they couldn't afford Johan Santana. Now they can afford Mauer, $184 million. Do they still qualify as a small market? And if you're talking about the Brewers, if they have to pay Prince, are they a small market? Or are they going to play small market prices? That's the question. I guess my point is, what is a small market and what isn't a small market?
2-1 to Casey McGee with Corey Hart, the man who's swung the bat so well tonight, on deck. Nobody out here in the 7th inning.
Well, as you distribute your revenues into your team, you know, do you distribute them into one player? You distribute them into a lot of different players. You can afford maybe 3 $6 million players compared to one $18 million player. You still have to put 9 guys out there.
I'm still trying to define small market, or is it a small market when it's to your advantage and not other times?
You're a small market when you don't want to sign the guy,
exactly.
And you're not a small market when you decide you want to sign the guy.
Exactly. That's my point. Or does it fluctuate back and forth?
But you're sort of getting into this without giving the backstory.
Okay.
As our colleague Claire Smith likes to put it.
All right.
And which I think
that's what you're here for.
It's a cool way to put it.
Well, you're the backstory guy.
The backstory guy.
I'm just out front.
Well, the owner of the Brewers, Mark Attanasio, had made a comment that it seemed to be related to signing Prince Fielder, that the Yankees infield made more than the entire Brewers payroll for the entire ball club. And then Randy Levine, one of the Yankees executives, sort of told him to quit whining. And Attanasio said, well, I didn't think I was whining. I was just trying to point out a fact. As Casey McGee goes down on strikes for 1 away. And here comes Corey Hart, who has swung the bat so well tonight with that home run, as we mentioned, and also robbed of an extra base hit and a couple of RBIs by Joe Mather in the 3rd. 7-4, the Brewers lead the Cardinals with 1 out and Fielder at first. So then you're bringing up this whole thing, well, what is a small market and whatnot?
Right.
And the fact is that Milwaukee is a small market.
Okay.
That doesn't, we're not talking about, do they have the money? Do they have the revenue? We don't know. I don't know what their revenues are. Although I read the Forbes article this week that gave what they thought were some figures that might be accurate. There's a base hit to center field by Corey Hart. And again, the ball just coming off his bat like out of a cannon. And he is zoned in suddenly. And he's been missing in action for a while now.
Well, fastball up, and the Brewers have been capitalizing on fastball mistakes. It's not as up as I thought. It's down there almost 6 inches above the knee, but it's down the middle, and it's hit right back where it came from. Corey Hart has been locked in the whole night at the plate.
George Kataris coming up now with 2 men on and 1 man out. The Brewers ahead 7-4. One ball and no strikes to Kataris, who's had a single and a run batted in. He's 1 for 3 in the game.
So you're saying Forbes is going to just tell us who's small market.
Well, according
who's
to
not.
according to Forbes, they didn't say small market. They didn't talk about population.
Exactly. Right.
They didn't talk about any of that. They said that, according to their figures, the Brewers' revenues were $171 million, and the Yankees were $441 million.
Okay.
That's revenues, money coming in.
Okay.
So.
And of that, they're spending about 80 to 90 million on salary.
If you're in a small market, there's only so much you can bring in from your local broadcasting revenue because it's literally a small market. You don't have the same population.
Well, first of all, let's stop comparing teams to the Yankees. That's an aberration.
Well, you'll have to talk to Forbes about that.
No, the Yankees are a team. You know, they own a lot of different things. They have a lot of revenue coming in. So why are we talking about the Yankees when there are 29 other teams? You know, it's like everything has to be. Why are we comparing everything to the Yankees? That they have a high payroll, they have whatever. We all know that. But what about the other teams? You know, let's. I think that's the way this should be looked at, not just in comparison with the Yankees. You know, you're right. You can't compare the Oakland A's revenues to the Yankees.
And the Brewers have the good fortune of not competing with the Yankees, not like a Tampa Bay.
Correct.
Well, according to Forbes, there are only 7 teams whose revenues this past season were below the Brewers' revenues, even though the Brewers drew more than 3 million fans. So that has. I'm not even bringing up the Yankees here. I'm bringing up the Brewers. Can they draw? They drew more than 3 million.
Right.
With a team that finished below 500 last year. Not a division winner. Not a team that thrilled them all year, staying in pennant contention. As Contreras draws a walk against Hawksworth, and the bases are loaded now for Alcides Escobar.
So are you saying that the fans who came out, even though they were below 500, deserve Prince Fielder?
Well, I'm saying that according to these articles, and again, the Brewers have not made me privy to their profit and loss statements, but I think the problem that they have right now is simply they've almost maximized their revenues. Are the fans going to continue to come out if they raise ticket prices considerably?
Are they going to continue to come out if they do not sign Prince Fielder?
That is a foul ball. Played, and I'm not sure why he threw the ball to first base if he was going to go ahead and make the play. The play was to go home with it for the force out there.
I'm not sure Fielder. Yeah, I'm not sure Fielder didn't stop running. I mean, why wasn't he running? He stopped. He tagged Fielder, but he was in foul territory anyway.
So he was getting
the Fielder didn't run. Now watch, it's a ground ball. You have to go on a ground ball with the bases loaded. Well, he was just getting out of the way, I guess. But you have to go. But the ball obviously foul.
Yeah, Prince reads it as foul and just kind of stops, but then I better get going. Freeze through at the first base because it's fair. Get him out at first after the tag.
Yeah, so it was a heads-up play there by Freeze. 0-2 the count to Escobar. But so your feeling is that the Brewers should just sign Prince no matter what it takes?
No, that wasn't my point.
Well, what is it then?
I'm trying to figure out what's a small market and when are you a small market and when you're not a small market.
I'm not speaking on behalf of Oral, but I'm just going to say this. Who cares?
Well,
I don't care.
I'm speaking of, we were talking about $184 million for Mauer and trying to figure out what Albert Pujols, that's where this started, was what is Albert Pujols worth, in this market, in, the baseball market.
And you were talking about the convenience of deciding,
right.
Am I a small market, am I a mid-market, when do I want to claim that, depending on who I want to sign and not sign.
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, you don't get any special dispensation one way or the other. You get some revenue sharing if the people in charge, the commissioner's office, feel that you're entitled to it based on your market size or your revenues or whatever. I don't even know what exactly decides that. But in terms of whether you're a small market or not, that only has to do with whether you want to not sign your guy and then say, don't blame me, right?
Well, that's what I was talking about. Not necessarily.
Fielder bluffs as the ball was caught by the new right fielder, Alan Craig. Too shallow. Escobar retired. The bases remain loaded with 2 down. And it looks like the veteran, Craig Counsell, is going to come up as a pinch hitter. But I will say, I think that Atanasio's done a fabulous job here in Milwaukee.
No doubt.
Doug Melvin is general manager, their player personnel people. The proof is what we see in the field. This has become an exciting ball club, and they've figured out a way to pack this stadium night after night. It's become the place to be, and it's a fun place to be because of the exciting, dynamic team they put on the field. And it's a beautiful ballpark besides that.
Yeah, they've done a fabulous job here.
They've done a great job with their farm system. They continue to produce players, and that's one way of keeping your economics down and in control.
And they also, I mean, and they've been in contention, and they got to the playoffs 2 years ago.
1 ball, no strikes to Craig Counsell. Ooh, change up from Hawksworth. 1 ball and 1 strike.
But that was interesting too, because they got to the playoffs basically because they traded for C.C. Sabathia.
Right.
And he helped them get there, but they couldn't afford to keep him.
Right.
So, and that may be it where this thing ends, is the fact that they couldn't outbid the Yankees to keep Sabathia. Now therein lies that's a different story.
1 ball, 1 strike to count to Counsell. Right back to Hawksworth. Over to Pujols to end the inning. I'm going to leave some money in a bucket. Try to help the Brewers out when this game's over.
And in part by Mazda. Zoom, zoom forever.
Sunday night baseball from Miller Park. Beautiful Miller Park in Milwaukee. 7-4. The home team is out in front. The Brewers lead the Cardinals as we head to the 8th inning. And there is Carlos Villanueva on the pitch for the Brewers in a set-up spot in the 8th inning. Villanueva, 26-year-old right-hander from the Dominican Republic. And he faces Alan Craig to lead off for the Cardinals. Craig, who's 0 for 4 so far this year. One of the things that Cardinal fans are a little concerned about with their ball club is, and even Tony La Russa seemed to express some concern about that during the spring, as Craig gets a base hit to center field, is that their bench seems to be very young and inexperienced. They also, tonight's different because the 2 of their regular starters were not in the starting lineup, but they have no left-handed hitters to come off the bench.
No left-handers at all. I mean, that's unusual, very unusual.
And I would think if their bench does not perform throughout the season and the Cardinals are in the race like we expect them to be on top, that they would probably go out and shop for some help there, some veteran help at the end. There'll probably be some guys with some very good resumes out there.
Alan Craig, by the way, just got his first major league hit. Craig, 25 years old, 4 years in the Cardinal minor league system. So congratulations to Alan Craig from Mission Viejo, California. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Get over 100 live out-of-market games per week in HD quality, where available on your computer. Visit MLB.TV for details. I watched one last night on my computer in the room here at the hotel, and it was in high def. It was stunningly beautiful.
You have a high-def computer screen?
Joe, I work for ESPN. What kind of a screen would I have?
And even if you don't, you still want to pay for that extra signal. Just to feel like you're getting it. But yeah, it's high def. It's a nice signal, Joe.
It came in beautifully.
Yeah,
I was astonished. David Freese after the visit by pitching coach Rick Peterson, and they called strike to David Freese. Rick Peterson, and is the Brewers pitching coach now. And you expect he's going to make a difference in this staff, Oral?
For sure. He's a very, very good pitching coach. He was with the Mets there for a while. Ken Maka really likes him. They lost a good pitching coach when they lost Mike Maddox to the Rangers.
And that's down and away. And the pitching staff was not nearly as good.
Well, they went out and they got Doug Davis. They got Randy Wolf. They got LaTroy Hawkins. They got a new pitching coach. They had an ERA last year of 5.47, I think, which was the worst. And so they really needed to improve their pitching to make an impact in this division.
Troy Hawkins, you saw there, the newly arrived Brewers veteran reliever, warming up in the bullpen now. They chased one there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Brewers starting pitchers had the worst earned run average of any team in the majors as a group. 5.37. That's just for the starting pitchers. And they were last in innings pitched. They gave up a lot of walks. They gave up the most home runs of any starting rotation in baseball. Strike 3 called on the inside corner.
The starting staff does better. Rests the bullpen. Less ups to get ready for. His jams you're not getting out of. And Carlos Villanueva trying to get himself out of his own little jam here with no out and man on first. Comes up with a strike zone. Look at this fastball in the inner half. K-Zone's got it a little inside. But like Joe says, when you have 2 strikes, too close to take.
Yes, that was the cliche when I first came to the big league.
So it goes for David Freese. Not a good night for Freese, although he did have a hit and a run scored back in the 4th inning.
Of course, they didn't have K-Zone when I came to show how close pitches were.
Your eyes were the K-Zone then.
Thank you.
I think as you grew in stature as a star player, the umpires would sort of almost let you call it.
No, I
Just
think
2 strikes, you didn't swing at it. Well, it must not have been a strike.
I think the better I got, the better they got. We all just got better together. I think that's the way it worked.
Were you small market or large market?
I don't know yet.
You were such a star.
Yeah, right.
Winning back-to-back MVP awards in the 70s, and noted for your great eye at the plate. That you were like the old joke. The old joke was really about you. The pitch came in, and they called it a ball, and the catcher complained about it. The umpire told us, he said, young man, Mr. Morgan will let us know when that pitch is a strike.
Oh,
and Oral, I think, felt the same way.
I'm glad I didn't face him then. That would have been a tough confrontation.
0-1 the count to Joe Mather. Mather 0 for 2 with a walk. And off the mask of the catcher, Contreras, 0-2 the count. So Villanueva, after giving up the leadoff single to Alan Craig, got a strikeout of Freese. Is quickly 0-2 to Mather. Brendan Ryan on deck. The Cardinals need put only 1 man more on base to be able to send the possible tying run of the game to the plate. And they do have Colby Rasmus on the bench tonight, a left-handed hitter who has lots of power. Should the situation arise where they could use him. There's Jim Edmonds, 2 down. Now let's go to Steve Berthium in the studio for a Sports Center right now. Thanks, Steve. And we're going to get a pitching change here in Milwaukee. LaTroy Hawkins will be summoned with Brendan Ryan coming up in relief of Villanueva. There's Ryan with a runner at first and 2 down. Hawkins coming on. Home run. It's gone. 3 home runs for the Brewers, starting with that man leading off the game in the first inning. Ricky Weeks against Chris Carpenter, the ace of the Cardinals, one of the best pitchers in the game, and one of his worst nights in a long, long time. He gave up only 7 home runs all last year. Gave up 3 tonight in 5 innings. And there's one right under the chin of Brendan Ryan, who had squared around to bunt against LaTroy Hawkins.
They didn't throw any like that warm-ups. Brendan's thinking, don't need to be ready for that. I think he just kind of uncorked one right there, overthrew it, got away from it.
Hawkins brought in to be the new setup man for the Brewers in front of the veteran closer, Trevor Hoffman. Fastball at 93 miles an hour for the strike, and it's a ball and a strike. Now, LaRue, the catcher, who had come on as part of a double switch in place of Yadier Molina, the regular catcher, is due up next, but Nick Stavinoa has come out on deck. So if Ryan could get aboard, apparently Stavinoa would come up as the possible tying run. Curveball taken low, and it is 2-1. Now, you might say, well, why was Villanueva taken out? He got the last 2 hitters. The only thing I can think of is that Ryan was 5 for 8 lifetime against Villanueva, and he's 0 for 1 against Hawkins. Only faced him the one time, and Hawkins got him. And in the air, right center, Hart, and the inning is over. And we go to the last of the 8th inning. Top of the order, Weeks, Edmonds, and then Braun coming up. 7-4, Milwaukee. Sears Lawn and Garden. It's the very first official game at Target Field in Minneapolis. The Red Sox with John Lester and the Twins with Carl Pavano. Then on Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Captain Morgan on ESPN2 at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. The Astros and the Cardinals from Busch Stadium. Brett Myers for the Astros, Brad Penny for the Cardinals. Lots of baseball action coming up on ESPN and ESPN2 this week. Sunday Night Baseball here from Miller Park in Milwaukee. Blake Hawksworth throws a called strike to Ricky Weeks, who has not been retired by a Cardinal pitcher this evening. He has homered, and then he led off the first inning with a home run. He singled and scored a run, walked and scored a run, and then he walked again his last time. 2 hits, 2 at-bats, plus 2 walks, 3 runs scored. That's a great night for a leadoff man.
He showed a lot of discipline, too, because his first at-bat was the home run. He really could have come out of his game and not taken each at-bat seriously as far as what a leadoff hitter should do, but stay within his game. Showed us a base hit up the middle and some walks, so really didn't become a home run hitter after hitting the first home run in that first at-bat.
Ricky Weeks, who had an excellent start to his season last year. Brendan Ryan slings it over to first for the out. And there is one away.
Let's take a look at my new toy, the Axis, and let's watch the home run that Albert Pujols hit. First glance, you think this ball has got on him, but you can see he really hits the ball right near the front of the plate, and his bat is so level it keeps it from curving foul. If the head of the bat was down a little bit more, it would have got more side spin on it and would have curled foul. That swing right there was the reason that ball stayed fair. Real level swing from Albert Pujols.
Right down the right field line into the corner. In that corner where our camera is located, as Jim Edmonds spanks one up the middle, and that is his first hit of the game. They just got Weeks out for the first time, and then Edmonds follows and reaches for the first time. He had gone 0 for 4 up till then, although he hit a couple of balls pretty well. Now Ryan Braun with Prince Fielder right behind him. Both bullpens are busy. And the Cardinal bullpen, Kyle McClellan, McClellan, no D at the end there. McClellan is up in the pen. And the Brewers, the veteran closer, Trevor Hoffman, is now getting ready for the 9th inning. 593 career saves, the all-time record. Although he did not get one here on Friday night. Nice save on that ball by Jason LaRue. Wow. Quick hands right there.
It was a breaking ball very wide, keeping the runner from going from first to second. And that's a key run. We're down by 3 with 1 at bat left. Looks like that one hurt a little bit, too.
The Brewers' great sluggers, Prince Fielder on deck, number 28. He's 25 years old. Ryan Braun at the plate. He's 26 years old. Braun hit a home run in the 5th inning. This should be too bad hop, but nicely played by Lopez, and then Ryan gets it over to Albert for the double play, and the inning is over, and Fielder is left on deck. Last chance now. 9th inning. Hell's Bells about to play in Milwaukee. For many years, when Trevor Hoffman makes his entrance through the bullpen gate, the bell, as if you're in London with Big Ben chiming the bells. And that's how Hoffman makes his entrance, and it's just as riveting and electric here in Milwaukee as it used to be for all those years in San Diego. Trevor Hoffman makes his entrance. He of 593 saves. He did not get number 594 as he was facing Nick Stavinoa with 2 outs and 2 strikes in the 9th inning. Stavinoa went down to get a changeup and hit it into the left field stands. And suddenly a 4-3 Brewers lead was a 5-4 deficit. Nick Stavinoa hit the home run and a changeup, and Greg Zorn was the catcher. And he said he couldn't believe that he hit that ball. It was a changeup. He almost dropped to his knees to get the swing off on it.
Looked like a slow pitch softball swing almost. Watch the ball coming in there on the big arc. Softball, he dropped the knee a little bit.
The pitcher's due up 3rd in this inning. We've got Colby Rasmus, the pinch hitter for LaRue, to try and get the Cardinals started. They're trailing 7-4. And Rasmus showing a pretty good eye here. And I guess he's doing that all week or he has done that all week. He has 8 walks this week. Last year, 16 home runs, tied for second among all rookies. But he was not happy with his season. That fastball in there for a strike. And Hoffman is no longer the real hard-throwing closer. He's a guy who spots that fastball, but he's still got the great changeup. He's 0-1 so far this year with 2 saves, plus that blown save here on Friday. Strike 2. It's on all fastballs to Colby Rasmus.
Well, I've got a feeling he might see something else. If you're a hitter and the guy has a great pitch, you try to keep him from getting to that pitch. Taking that fastball, I understood the 2-0 take, but not the 2-1 take.
And a pop-up. Got in under his hands with that fastball. Ricky Weeks. Speaking of Ricky Weeks, he's had quite the night offensively, and he is tonight's Chevrolet player of the game. Ricky Weeks, who had a home run to lead off the game, a single in the third in the middle of a rally, a walk in the fifth to start a rally, another walk in the sixth. But he was a key man in the lineup against the Cardinal ace, Chris Carpenter, as they roughed up Carpenter. And a strike call to Felipe Lopez. Nick Stavanoa has come out on deck with the pitcher due up next. Lopez, the leadoff man, has doubled, grounded out, flied out, and been safe on an error by Escobar. There is Stavanoa. He tried a curveball.
Little curveball, 72 miles an hour. We've seen the fastball, 86, 87 miles an hour. He's throwing a notch higher, harder than last year. A little more life on his arm here early in the year for Trevor Hoffman. We have yet to see the Bugs Bunny changeup.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. And a fastball down and away. And it is 2-1. We are at Miller Park in Milwaukee. 2 top contenders from the National League Central Division. The Cardinals, who won the division last year, and trying to complete a sweep of the Brewers here at the Brewers' home ballpark. But Milwaukee holding a 7-4 lead. They're hoping to get Albert Pujols to the plate in this inning. They'll have to get at least 1 man on base to do so. Albert due up 4th in the inning. They'll have to get to Holiday to really have a chance to do something serious. Although if Lopez gets aboard and then Stavanoa, the pinch hitter, gets aboard, Albert himself would have a chance to tie the game. 2-2 the count. Fastball down the right field line. That's a fair ball up against the wall. And Lopez will have his second double of the night.
Well, that's the difference in Trevor Hoffman now and when he was early in his career with San Diego. That fastball in with 2 strikes, Lopez wouldn't have been able to get around on it. Now his fastball really just trying to spot it so you can pop it up or something. That's 85 miles an hour inside corner. He tried to get in and he got it right on the corner, but a good job by Lopez to just use his hands and rip it down the line.
So this is the first meeting between Trevor Hoffman and the man who got him here on Friday, Nick Stavanoa. And remember, it was the changeup that Stavanoa hit.
Stavanoa was sitting dead red right there, just trying to reach base, because the man on deck is the tying run, and he can definitely do that if he gets up.
Trevor Hoffman, now 42 years old. And the fastball is staying with the fastball, albeit just a sort of a mediocre fastball at this stage of his career, but it's been effective here to Stavanoa, and he had not thrown a changeup yet. He's just maybe the longest I've ever seen him go into an inning without throwing one.
And it's probably because of the 3-run lead. He's just holding that in his holster in case he needs it.
0-2 to Stavanoa. Fastball. Tantalized him with it just off the outside. 87 miles an hour. Get a little extra on that one, too.
Well, he got a little extra because it was up. The high fastball you can get a little bit more on. But I think that was, again, a show-me fastball.
1-2. That was the count to Stavanoa Friday. And a high pop-up. Fielder. Not this time. Hoffman gets Stavanoa. And now Pujols will come up, but Pujols could not tie the game. Pujols has never had a hit against Trevor Hoffman, by the way. 0 for 6 with a couple of strikeouts. SportsCenter follows the game on ESPN with John Anderson and Linda Cohn. With the Mickelson's moment, winning the Masters. Barry Bonds had some comments about Mark McGwire returning to baseball today. And Roy Halladay pitched a beauty, getting the best of Roy Oswalt in Houston. All that on SportsCenter. The whole day in sports coming up. 2 down. Here is Hoffman, the great closer. Pujols, the great hitter. And the high fastball. Albert takes it. An appeal was made to the first base umpire, Jeff Nelson. And he gave no signal at all on that appeal. 1 ball and no strikes. Trevor Hoffman, Albert Pujols. Runner at second, 2 down. Matt Holliday would be next. That is a strike, a little slider. Everybody standing at Miller Park. The Brewers 1 out away from a win over the Cardinals. Fastball off the inside.
I was the pitching coach for Buck Showalter, and after the 7th inning, he would put down 9 sunflower seeds and eat 1 for every out of the last 3 innings. That last seed is the hardest one to find.
2-1 to Albert Pujols. That ball is hammered. A liner on its way. Adios. And now it's a 1-run game. The first hit for Albert Pujols against Trevor Hoffman in his career. And it's a home run, his second home run of the night.
Well, he just waited and waited. It was a fastball, but he waited and just used his hands on it. He didn't try to drive it with his legs. He just waited. He was probably looking for a changeup and reacted to the fastball. Let's take a look at how he pitches, Albert. First pitch was a fastball up. Then he dropped something low and away, looked like a change. And he comes back inside with a fastball. And he made a mistake of throwing a fastball in the middle of the plate. And Albert put a charge into it.
Now Matt Holliday, the possible tying run. And a slider low and outside for ball 1. Matt Holliday used to see Hoffman a lot when they were both in the National League West. Holliday with the Rockies and Hoffman with the Padres. He's 3 for 15 lifetime against him with 1 home run. Fastball, and it's 2-0.
Well, before the game started, people were worried about Albert Pujols in a mini slump. 2 for 14, went 0 for 2 his first 2 at bats, 0 for 16 or 2 for 16, and then comes back single home run.
He's driven in 4 runs. They were down 7-2, and then Albert with 2 home runs has made it 7-6. 2-0. Ooh, chased the slider in the door. Do you think Holliday was thinking in the back of his mind, I'm looking for one to launch right here?
Well, what happens, I mean, you're in this situation, sometimes you get a little anxious. You want to be the guy. I mean, he is one of the guys that they count on. He just went out of the zone there.
We've got the rookie, Alan Craig, due up next. Center field. Edmonds going back. All the way back to the wall. It's tied up. First Pujols, then Holliday. And for the second time this weekend, a blown save for Trevor Hoffman against the St. Louis Cardinals. And the great Cardinal sluggers, Pujols and Holliday, in an extraordinary display, go back-to-back in the 9th inning to tie the game.
Well, he was signed for protection. Albert Pujols brings him within 1 run. Matt Holliday comes through with the home run. The pitch sequences from Trevor Hoffman. He goes breaking ball for a ball, fastball for a ball, change up 2-0. Swing and miss is key there. You want him to cut it loose and swing and miss. You don't want him to go with a half swing like Joe said. Sometimes on the curveball, you slow your swing down to barely hit it, but then he gets the fastball and he cuts it loose again and he makes full contact.
Here's Alan Craig, and the fastball misses for ball one.
Well, it tells me that Hoffman's fastball is just not good enough to get away with it, against good hitters. I think he's going to have to just continue to throw the changeup.
I think the combination of his pitches, the anxiety of the changeup, and then the surprise of the fastball. But when he wants to live with one or the other, there's not enough there to really put any intimidation in the hitter's heart.
I don't think that fastball is good enough, even as a surprise.
Shallow left center, Escobar out, and Hart, the left fielder. But Trevor Hoffman unable to hold a 3-run ninth-inning lead. Albert Pujols first with a 2-run shot and a 1-run game, and then Matt Holliday followed it up to the deepest part of the yard. Pujols and Holliday, and it is becoming a beautiful partnership. It's a tie game, and Prince Fielder coming up, the young Brewers slugger. First half of the ninth inning to make it a 1-run game. And then Matt Holliday followed it up with a home run over the center field wall to tie the game. Dennis Reyes signed to pitch now for the Cardinals in the last of the ninth with Prince Fielder, the Brewers' great young slugger, coming up, who may well have visions of ending this ball game despite the Cardinals' great comeback. Also a new catcher, Nick Stavinoa, after pinch hitting, stays in to do the catching.
Got Yadier.
Colby Rasmus stays in center field after pinch hitting. The fielder pops it up, foul off the third base side, and that will go back out of play. Rasmus into center field and moving from center field over to right field is Joe Mather. Alan Craig departs, and the pitcher Reyes will be in the 5th position in the batting order. Ooh. You made him look bad on that one. It's 0-2.
Well, you were wondering about the catcher. Well, Stavinoa has Yadier Molina's catching gear on. Unless he changed his name to Yadi.
Yadi Stavinoa.
Yeah.
It's the first time that Stavinoa has ever caught in a big league game, by the way. So if you wonder, well, how come he didn't have his own equipment?
Pretty nice block out there on a breaking ball with 2 strikes because the batter swings at it. You got to get it down to first.
7-7 the score. The Brewers went to the 7th inning ahead 7-2 in this game. That's when Albert Pujols got it going. And strike 3. Reyes strikes out. Prince Fielder to start the 9th inning.
We talked about Albert Pujols, how good a hitter he is. He makes adjustments. He knows that Trevor Hoffman can't throw the fastball by him, so he'll make an adjustment by just staying there. Now watch his front foot and watch how little movement he has here. He's just going to pick it up, the toe, and then just drop it down. I mean, that shows you that he keeps his body back, keeps his hands back, and even though it was a fastball, he was able to generate enough hand speed to hit it out of the ballpark. If it would have been a changeup, he probably could have done the same thing. He was waiting on it.
Dennis Reyes was brought in just to face Prince Fielder, and the Cardinals go to their bullpen again. It is 7-7 with Casey McGee due up next, and then Corey Hart, both right-handed hitters. And the Cardinals bring in Kyle McClellan, the right-hander, in relief of Reyes. Man, what a crazy night. The Cardinals aced their starting pitcher. Chris Carpenter gave up 7 runs in 5 innings, 5 earned runs. And the first move by La Russa when he brought in a relief pitcher was a double switch, taking out his regular catcher, Yadier Molina. And then the bullpen has done a great job, and then Albert Pujols took over the game, and suddenly the Cardinals are tied. So he's having to improvise.
You know, the home runs brought the Cardinals back, but the home runs are what put them down. Chris Carpenter giving up the home runs early really put the Cardinals down. He was making mistakes with a couple different pitches. His fastball, the weeks would let off the game. And then Corey Hart on a hanging slider or backup cutter. He really deposited that one in the left field. And then Ryan Braun killed this ball, and Joe complimented him on his swing. A fastball down the middle, but he didn't try to do too much with it. He took it to the opposite field or up the middle and powdered it.
7-7, each team with 10 hits. Pujols 2 homers, Holiday 1. So 3 total for the Cardinals. Weeks, Hart, and Braun, as we just saw, with home runs. The game recap. And despite Chris Carpenter's poor night, Cardinals have taken him off the hook. And Brewers fans, many of whom are just stunned still to see Trevor Hoffman give up a 3-run lead. That's supposed to be in the category of an easy save. Come in, start the inning, nobody on base, you got a 3-run lead.
When you're Chris Carpenter and the hook is in that deep, you not only spit the hook, you were gaffed, you were on the ice, you were under the boat, and you found a way to wiggle your way out of it, especially when it's Trevor Hoffman on the mound also.
Willie Randolph, the bench coach, former Mets manager, longtime big leaguer, talking with manager Ken Maka.
Well, when we were talking about the Brewers' chances, I mean, one of the things you had to have a little worry about was their closer, Trevor Hoffman. I mean, as you mentioned, John, was 42 years old. I mean, you have to be worried about guys, especially that do not throw hard and rely on finesse, you know, for the whole season.
Hoffman was he was so good last year. That ball is hit a mile, and the Brewers are going to win it after all. Casey McGee, goodbye, and we'll see you later. Bernie Brewer took his 4th trip down the slide. It became a home run derby here at Miller Park. And for the Brewers, a win over the Cardinals here in Milwaukee has not been easily achieved in the last year or so. They had lost 9 of their last 10 games here for the Cardinals. And tonight they first blew a 5-run lead in the late innings and then finally won the ball game. So it wasn't easy, but they did get it done.
Well, I mean, this is the fastball up a little bit. It's supposed to be away. You see where it is, up and on the inner part of the plate. And as soon as he hits it, game's over. McGee knew it. Everybody in the ballpark knew it. That's a big-time drive right there. That's a true big fly right there in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Well, he knew where it was going.
Yeah.
Wow. Kyle McClellan, the only batter he faced, got the game-winning hit. McClellan takes the loss, and Trevor Hoffman wanted to save. He'll have to settle for a win.
Well, but I guess what? If you want to blame it, you can blame it on Stavanoa. He put that one down there. No, I think, truthfully, if you look back at this ball game, the Brewers probably deserved to win because they played a better ball game. The Cardinals made some errors and got knocked around. But the one thing they do have, and they showed you that tonight, the Cardinals, if you have power, you can always come back. You do not come back from 7-2 down without power. You're not going to get enough singles and doubles to do that. So you have to have power, and the Cardinals demonstrated that they're never out of the game when you have Albert Pujols and Matt Holliday on your side.
Yeah, McGee had a great night, finishes off with a home run, but he also played with the glove down there, and the difference for the Cardinals early on was the glove of David Freese down there at third base, so there was a differential at third base tonight that might have turned the tide for the Brewers.
The Brewers now take a bus ride to Chicago. They'll be in part of the Cubs home opener at Wrigley tomorrow, and the Cardinals go home for their home opener up against the Astros. And we'll be with you next Sunday night from St. Louis ourselves. We hope you'll join us then. Brewers beat the Cardinals tonight. Next on ESPN is SportsCenter. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Now, for Joe Morgan, Oral Hershiser, and our entire crew, this is John Miller. Casey McGee ends it with a home run, a walk-off. Good night from Milwaukee. Thanks for watching. Now, here comes SportsCenter.